the Preppers Fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, around the fire every night. Oh, oh,
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Preppers Fireside. This one is going to be about water, but it's also going to be about current events. So please stay tuned through the boring prepping stuff to get to the exciting fear-mongery stuff that Brian wants to do, because he's that kind of YouTuber now. So, you know.
Yeah, Mr. Fear, mate, that's me.
I've been in the woods for a week. I haven't seen the news. What's going on?
Oh, we'll fill you in afterwards.
Nothing you need to worry about, Alan.
Good to have you back here, Alan. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. All good. All good. And we have John, the Welsh prepper. How you doing, John?
Good, thank you, Mike. How are you?
Excellent. Good to have you with us again. And
Thank
Brian,
you.
the Scottish prepper. Yeah, you're just with us.
Yeah, that kind
Want you to do me a favor, though. At least a good chunk of you. Right now, I want you to leave this stream, go over to the World Survivalist channel and watch us via his channel. He's only X amount of hours off being able to monetize his channel. 4 hours.
4 hours away.
So if a good few of you go over there and watch this stream on his channel now, I would really appreciate it. So would he, and we can get him over that line. So do that now. That would be awesome.
Much appreciated.
So,
I've
like
got
Mike
two
said, leave
people
Mike's stream right now, right? And go and watch Alan's channel. But stay on mine's. But fuck Mike, go and watch.
No, absolutely fine.
Or
Absolutely
watch
fine.
Mike's and then just replay mine on mute later on. And you know, what I mean?
To help you get sleep.
Genuinely, there's nothing more frustrating than having like that, being that close, and you just need that few hours to get over the thing. So there you go. There's a few people over there already waving from your side. So thank you guys for doing that and watching from Alan's side. If you feel the need to super chat, feel free to pop back and super chat, then go back.
So pop back to Brian's and super chat, right? Remember?
Well, he's honestly, guys, I'm giving you the inside scoop. He's turning into one of those YouTubers. Just gonna.
I've learned for the best. Then cheeky bastard.
Don't try and super chat me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
When they speak, money flies out the mouth. Basically, John.
That's what it is.
Right. Let's do water first. We will talk about current events, so stay tuned. Let's whack the disclaimer across the bottom. Where's my disclaimer gone? Because Brian's in the house. Did you see I posted a disclaimer on Mike Tango Whiskey's video, and I started typing it and realized.
Shocking. And I was bigging your channel up too on that interview.
What a lot of crap. What a lot of
I did. Did you not get a mention in dispatches?
I got a mention by Mike Tango Whiskey at first, who'd got my name completely wrong when you did correct him. So I'll give you that one.
And your channel.
All right. I didn't see that bit.
Oh, no. Quick to slate me. But see, when you go back and watch it, you can go, do you know that fat obnoxious sod is right?
Soon when the dramatic Hollywood types have finished having his paddy, we'll get to the fireside.
Wow. How rude.
Fame's gone right to his head, Alan. He's changed. He wouldn't last a minute on that island now.
It's 2,500 subs. Yeah, I can't leave the house, mate.
We've got 151 people waiting for us to talk about something relevant, so let's get on to it. And it's when we have the Q&As. I think you mentioned it, Brian. We always have the questions on water, and it'd be worth doing a whole episode about water, essentially. So water is probably the most neglected prep because it takes up a lot of storage. We can't all have like a huge container, one of the big IBC tanks, the 1,000-litre jobbies. We can't all have one of them like sitting in the garage. So it's not practical. Let's start with what water preps you guys have in place. Not talking about filters here, storage-wise. What water do you store, if any? Alan, I think your answer is going to be none, but
Yeah.
Do you store water?
I don't store water, no. I don't store it like a prepper would with, jerry cans full of purposely stored water in a pantry somewhere. I do have some bottles of water because I take a couple of bottles of water to work with me every day. So I buy the smaller bottles from Lidl, a couple of crates of them every other week, and they're at the bottom of my cupboard. So in a way, I kind of inadvertently store drinking water that way. But that would only get you through a day or two, really, from a prepper point of view. But I'm aware of water storage facilities sort of, within my house, within my area. There's a water tank and stuff in this house, but it doesn't really get used.
We'll talk about wrecking more water afterwards. But storage water-wise, John, do you have stored water?
I've got about 500 gallons altogether, most of it outside that would need treating. So I got 400 gallons in water butts coming off my greenhouse. So I've just put them in series with pipes glued to the bottom and then filled. And then I've got another couple on my shed, and I keep 2 litre and 5 litre bottles of drinking water in the house, which will probably about 7 or 8 days worth, which buys me time to sort my life out before I start filtering the water that's outside.
Excellent. And Brian, your stored water?
I keep 165 gallons of fresh water at all times, and 355 gallon plastic drums, and rotate it every 3 to 6 months.
Okay, excellent. I've got a minimal amount of bottled water, but I've got my water butts and I've got my 2 extra water containers outside now as well. So decent amount would definitely get me through a week or two if I needed it to. But it's got to concentrate down to filtering at the end of the day because of purely size and storage. So filtering. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is something I think Alan, I saw Alan with first, and I was like, they're too expensive for me, but I am a complete convert. Alan, tell me all about the grill. Tell everyone else all about the grill.
Amazing. There's very few filters that for me tick most boxes, because the thing about the Grail, it's been out for quite a long time now, but it's not just a filter. A filter is really just something that will remove particulate from water. So usually things that are very small, like viruses, which are the things that cause you the real problems, bacteria, viruses, this kind of stuff, heavy metals, all that kind of stuff, they're not removed by most filters. So most of the filters that you see hikers and stuff walking around with, it's not removing those kind of things. The Grail, on the other hand, will remove the vast majority of that kind of stuff. It doesn't remove absolutely everything. There are still limitations to it from radioactive water, some heavy metals, things like that. You can't really filter certain blooms and things like that, in locks. But for the most part, in my opinion, and in the opinion of quite a lot of people, the Grail is probably one of the best filters you can buy. Filter purifiers that you can get, but they are somewhat expensive, the cartridges. I mean, I've got one. Here's a cartridge for a Grail right here, and they are a little bit expensive when you start comparing them to other filters. But for what you're getting and the peace of mind that the Grail filter will literally filter out probably just about everything in UK waters, almost everything. I can't really think of anything that wouldn't, apart from maybe a couple of heavy metals. So yeah, it's money well spent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I went straight to the lock that we were at, filled this up, and drank it fresh. It was and the puddle outside. Yeah. The suspicious yellow puddle outside Brian's tent, that was.
The thing is, it acts as a water carrier as well. A lot of filters, especially the gravity filters, require a lot of time. You have to set them up and then you wait for a long period of time. You've seen it yourself with the Grail. You just scoop up the water and then it presses. I mean, that's why it's called the geo press. You're literally just forcing the water through a membrane, and then it's contained within there. So you've got, 750 mils of water or something as a carrying capacity that you can drink immediately, or you can use
slightly wider, wasn't it? Yours was the bigger one for the carrying.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have mine sitting drying just now, but
so I've not got one of these. So just for my benefit, you press it down like a plunger, and the impurities are trapped in the bottom, are they?
So you fill this bit up,
Yeah,
whack
I
this in,
see.
and just
Yeah,
force it down. Takes a while.
And then if you want to refill, you just take the bottom off, pour that away, and refill it.
Yeah.
If there's anything left in the bottom.
You can back flush them, but I'm pretty sure they last for, what is it? I can't remember how many liters it is, Alan. Can you remember how many liters it is before you've got to replace the filter?
I can't. You can get different sizes of filters now. I can't remember off the top of my head. That actually, it doesn't back flush very well, to be honest. The Grail, you can clean it out to some extent. Some of them, some filters, you can properly back flush. I've got an MSR microflow, I think it's called, or one of the old MSR ones, and that's got a fantastic back flush facility on it. The Grails don't really do that as much because that capsule, this is pretty much entirely self-contained. So really it's a case of you use this and then you replace it with another one. But you're talking about a lot of liters of water. I mean, we can quickly look it up. I can't remember what it is, but it's a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm like I say, I'm a complete convert. It was like, and I must big shout out to Taffy Nige, I think it was, who sent me it, because he sent me one and I wouldn't have paid for it. And then now I've had one, I would have paid for it. And I'll be buying probably another one as well. Because as far as like the get home bags and the bug out goes, one of these in my bag and one of these in her bag would be ideal. So
Mine's must have got lost in the post again. Ah, nice.
And mine.
That's nice.
Yeah, just quickly looking online, it says it's generally considered to have a capacity of 250 liters or 66 US gallons. But see, to be honest, if you look after it and you don't put completely ridiculous stuff through it, it will last way longer than that. Obviously that company just wants you to buy them every 250 liters, but you'll get much longer out of it than that.
Yeah, Miss Worm said they look very stiff. Steady, Brian. Would that be suitable for ladies or older people? I mean, I was just doing it here like this, like I am, is really is quite difficult. But if you literally lean over it and you put pressure on it, it can take longer, but it doesn't take much strength really. Once you've got like some ballast on it, right?
Yeah, you use your body weight. You're talking about something. It literally takes 10 seconds. Less than 10 seconds to push the water through it, and anybody who even a disabled person would be able to sort of lean on it, I think, and push water through it without much hassle.
You got on okay, mate.
Yeah.
After falling down those stairs, you were technically pretty messed up.
I don't know what we've fallen out according to the chat or something, Brian.
Yeah, that's why I was laughing at that. No, not at all. It's just banter, mate. Although I'm glad you've noticed that he picks on me. Thanks. Thanks. I'm glad to see everybody notices the.
You'll know when we fall out, because this is how the fireside will look. Are you ready? There we go.
Back in the room.
See, I rest my case.
Brian, have you got a Grail?
I don't. Nobody sent me one.
Yeah, buy one.
Obviously, I've not been putting out enough leg like you have. It's shocking. No, the first time I've seen one was when you used it at the.
Sorry. They know that my holidays are the prepper meets, and you go to Disney 76 times in the average year. So there's a significant difference.
I've got a demanding wife, and I'm a people pleaser. Just not in the ways that matter, I suppose. But anyway, that's a different story.
Go ahead. What have you got
no,
portable water-wise then? Portable filter-wise? No, like that's
life
not going in the side pocket of your bag, yeah.
No, but then again, I don't plan on leaving here. If I do leave, then I've got I'm going to get hit with a cardboard box. I've got a box of these.
Sawyer minis. The Sawyer Mini and the Sawyer Mini Squeeze is another one. Sawyer Mini Squeeze is good for, like Alan mentioned, because of like the quickness and on the go, and that's a similar sort of thing where you force it through. There's another Sawyer Mini there, John.
And the good thing about the Sawyer is you can stick it on a standard 2-litre bottle.
Yep. There you go. That's it. You can collect your naff water from the river in any old bottle like that. Tip it upside down and have a collection.
Just a bit of advice to anyone if they are thinking of buying one, make sure you do get the little bag with it. That is handy for your bug out bag or whatever.
Yeah, you can get like there's I think the water bottles from Sports Direct that are like that plastic material have a similar connection as well, so you can get them as spares. So the Sawyers are really good, to be fair.
The one thing I will say about the Sawyers, that personally I don't like Sawyer squeezies. They're okay. I mean, they work fun. They work okay. You know, I mean, they're good for things like hikers and stuff like that. But they do not filter out VOCs, which are what the hell's a VOC stand for again? It's a volatile organic compound, which is basically a lot of the chemicals that you get from evaporation. Even at room temperature, and it tends to come from farmland and things like that. They are heavily present in UK waters, especially standing waters or areas where like streams coming off fields and stuff like that. Soya squeeze won't remove that. Whereas the Grail will, you know, Grails do remove VOCs.
Yeah, there you go. So, what about the Lifesaver jerry cans? I believe they have a similar sort of filtering system in there, right?
It's like 20,000 gallons worth or something.
But the price on them, and I said the Grail was expensive. I think this is like less than 90 quid at the moment on Amazon. Them Lifesaver things are like 300 quid.
It's 400 odd for the kit, and then each one of the filters is about 140 quid. However, this is for bug out vehicles or staying in situ, and it's I mean, I didn't buy this, just for the record. This was a gift.
Oh, so, mine must have got lost in the fucking post then.
I'll tell my brother and ask him if he'll send you one.
And I know your brother watches.
We'll see if he sends you one, mate, but I wouldn't hold your breath.
I'll give you my address. I'll give you my address after Brian, in case your brother's feeling particularly generous.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath either, mate, to be honest. We were talking about the water today because he was asking what's going to be on tonight's fireside, and I said about the water and things. So we need to buy replacement filters. We don't have replacement filters, but the graphite ones, I looked at them, and it's like, instead of 20,000 cycles, it's 600 cycles, and they're 200 quid a pop. It's like, yeah, that's never going to happen. So I do need to get probably one or two spare filters.
But how many liters it filters with just a single filter?
20,000.
Yeah, I mean that's quite some literage, and you're not going to be filtering all your water, right? It depends on what you use it for. This is what we're gonna. So John, you showed your Sawyer there. Is that your go-to filtering? What other filters have you got? Before we move on to the hows and whys.
If it was a proper situation, I've got like a poor man's Berkey filter. It's a two plastic tubs, one on top of the other. You put the filters in that one. Here's the filters, candle filters, which are pre-charged, and I got a spare set. And then it just you put it on top of another similar tub, and that will see me forever. And then I got Puri tabs. That's about 30 quid's worth of Puri tabs.
Yeah, I mean that's at retail. You can get them at Army Navy surplus.
Yeah, you can get them cheaper. Yeah. But just a little tip, right on the side, what to do with them, so you don't forget. Because I would, even though I've used them loads in the RAF, I'd still forget. And then I've got, as a real backup, I've got calcium chloride, a kilogram sack of that, which you could make activated charcoal out of if I had to make my own water filters.
Yeah.
See, when you were at RAF though. Sorry, Mike.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Here we go.
But when you were in RAF, did the water go with the crystal, or did the waiters did they bring it in the goblets to you and stuff? I'm just wondering about how they filtered it. Did Jeeves write it down for you?
Evian water.
I have no idea how they filtered it. A man did it.
I've got a man for that.
A man did it.
No idea.
You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. And because I knew it was coming, I prepared a photo for you, which I now can't find, but I'll get back to you in a second.
Okay, well, I put on the screen there while Alan was briefly talking, just a quick summary of safety methods. So removing sediment, obviously, filter and boil, filter UV, filter chem, distillation, and then it's telling you what, so kills bacteria, all of them do. kills viruses, all of them do, removes chemicals. Most filters, and boiling and UV and chemicals do not remove chemicals. And it requires that unless it's got an activated carbon filter stage to remove chemical pollutants. So it's worth, when everyone buys these cheap Temu Chinese filters and stuff like that, this is what you're going to think. Now, why is this relevant? Surely our beautiful streams we can drink straight from, Alan, because that's what they do in the Robin Hood movies and stuff like that. And you can just scoop it up and you'll be fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be fine, and maybe a couple of times. Do you know there are places in the country where you can kind of drink pretty much straight from a stream, but even then you have to be somewhat careful. I mean, if you're in the Scottish Highlands and you see a little stream of water trickling down, you know, the rocks, and it's basically filtering its way through the hill, you're almost guaranteed to be able to drink that directly from source. That's assuming that just, you know, a couple of meters up there isn't a deer lying there dead in the water. You know, but for the most part, that'll be fine.
Or a prepper who thought he was going to bug out to the Highlands.
yeah. I mean, you can kind of tell. You can kind of. There are places where you can even see the water bubbling up from the ground because it's ground source water and it's coming up through that way. That's perfectly fine to drink from as well. But for the most part, at lower levels, you're going to have to be very careful about, approaching water, because it's the number one thing that's going to make you sick and put you out of the game. And the dehydration associated with, ironically, getting poisoned by water, you're going to have the runs for sure, and that's going to make you even more dehydrated, and it's going to give you even more problems. When I look for a filter, the reason I use the Grail a lot is because it removes the things in urban environments that I'm likely to come across. You know, pesticides, herbicides, VOCs, a lot of heavy metals, things like that. Those are the things you really need to worry about. If you're up in if you're looking at the natural stuff, the processillas and things like that, Giardia and Cryptosporidium and stuff like that, people always talk about E. coli, norovirus, all those kind of things. Everybody knows about those things in the wild, but they're actually not as present in the water as most people think they are. What is present in just about every stream that's associated with a farm, though, are pesticides, herbicides, and runoff from cattle. And that's where you get most of your problems. And in an SHTF situation, most of us are going to be in the urban areas. And that's where we're going to be getting the water from, standing puddles and things like that. The rainwater isn't going to be contaminated, but the second it hits that contaminated road and makes a puddle, then it's contaminated with fuels and other things that have came off, the roadside and stuff like that. So you need something that can deal with that. Activated carbon filters are the best thing to look for, not just hollow fiber ones or membrane ones, which a lot of the cheaper ones are.
Definitely, yeah. I pulled this up while you were talking about that because this is very relevant to it. This is from 2022 from UK Parliament committees. Only 14% of English rivers meet good ecological status, with pollution from agriculture, sewage, roads, and single-use plastics contributing to a dangerous chemical cocktail coursing through our waterways. Not a single river in England, has received a clean bill of health for chemical contamination. So no matter how clear that lovely river is where you go to and swim with your kids and you think, I could just drink that water, chances are you can't. So this is why it's very important.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking mostly about the UK because, this is a UK-based channel. But people who are watching this in the States, for example, almost every single water course in the United States is contaminated with Roundup because they use Roundup. They use Roundup, and I think it's a glycol Roundup. There's some sort of Roundup that they use in the United States that they don't use in Europe, which basically they can cover the entire crop with it, and it kills everything but that crop. It's been modified, but that's in the water course, and that's incredibly toxic to anything biological. So be very wary of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Here you go, Brian. I knew I'd have to defend myself. That's what I did for most of my RF career.
Play on a quad.
Oh, so they're taking you out for excursions. That's nice.
They sent a sergeant with me to make sure I didn't come to any mishap.
Was that the hotel?
That's from like Tunisia. If you look to the right, there's a 5-star resort in Tunisia.
I did
out
drive
of camera
over.
shot.
I did drive over a minefield once without knowing it was a minefield.
That could have ended badly.
The Americans were looking at us going, "These Brits are crazy."
Yeah, fear powering right through there. They don't even care.
It must have been happy hour in the naffy or something. That's what it was.
I was late. I was late for happy hour.
They were on the 4th course by this time.
I've never got over it.
No. The trauma. The trauma. This is... Anyway, help for heroes you need, John, just to get over that.
Anyway, a little bit. US EPA is a nice. They issue a nice little pamphlet.
Yep.
If anyone wants to download that for free, all that would say you do probably need to convert it to liters, like I've done, to make it a bit easier, unless you're familiar with gallons. And then
4 liters ish per gallon, right?
Yeah, and also it's just useful. It's just a useful little thing to have, and it tells you all about chlorine tablets and iodine and stuff like that, bleach. But it does stress it's for emergency situations.
There you go. Where's that from?
That's United States Environmental Protection Agency, the emergency disinfection of drinking water.
Cool. Excellent. Right. Alan, you haven't got your grill. What's the number one thing to everyone should do for water before they drink it?
Well, if you can get away with it, if you haven't got something like a grail and you're not entirely relying on chemical purification, which, to be honest, I would put that maybe third down the list anyway. Boil the water. That's the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely.
It's not 100% foolproof though. This is the thing. I hear this time and time again. People say boil the water, and it's basically that's it. It's fine. It's guaranteed. Boiling water is really just you're pasteurizing it. It's not going to remove heavy metals. It's not going to destroy all of the pesticides that you could find and chemicals that you could find and runoff from farms and things like that. So even boiling isn't 100% foolproof. And things like algae blooms and things like that, doesn't matter if you boil it, because you will kill the bloom, but it's actually when the bloom dies, it releases a chemical, a toxin, and that's the thing that actually causes you, like the blue-green algae, that's the thing that actually causes you the harm. A lot of people don't realize that. They think if they boil it, it's 100% safe. It is one of the best ways of making something safe. I would do that above all else, anyway. But don't be of the mindset that it's a cure-all, because it isn't. Ideally, do everything. Filter your water in a grail, take it back to your camp, put it in a pot and boil it.
Filtering and boiling, I would agree. Yes, do that both completely. I would not filter, boil, then chemically purify. I've used the Puritabs. I don't like them. It's a last resort for me.
These are the ones that I tend to use. It's probably backwards on the camera. Yeah. I mean, the thing with chemical purification, it does work very well, but it's a chemical, and the chemical is killing. If you put chlorine dioxide tablets or something, or sodium dicloxerine or whatever it's called into your water, it's killing the bacteria and things in the water, but you're also ingesting that in your body. So I wouldn't recommend using chemicals for any longer than a week. If you're doing a hike for a week, by all means, you can chuck one of these into your 1 liter canister every day, and it'll do you no harm really. But once you start getting beyond a week, you're slowly poisoning yourself. So I would avoid.
Just drink Pepsi. It solves everything. Just drink Pepsi Max. That's us done.
I'd rather crunch on these.
That's actually really good. That's actually really good. It's actually a really good point, Brian. Is don't forget to use up the stuff that is already bottled in your fridge, in your cupboard, before you start.
Unless it's Coke.
Unless it's Coke, and then just
drink your own piss first.
Yeah, iodine is actually quite a good water chemical to use. The reason people avoid it nowadays is because it's bloody horrible. You can smell and taste iodine. It's not very good, but it is quite a stable chemical, and it is kind of, I mean, you need iodine in your diet anyway to some extent. You know, it's naturally derived in things like kelps and stuff. But iodine is the chemical I would choose to use if I was in a tropical environment. I wouldn't try and take tablets to a tropical environment. You know, granted, none of us are in a tropical environment, especially me and Brian. But
don't go Scotland in August. You know, it can get a bit tasty.
You know nothing.
Gets
of
above
rain.
20 degrees sometimes.
You know nothing of rain. I live in West Wales.
Well, there you go. But I mean,
sorry, go on, Alan.
No, I was just going to say, when it comes to if you're using iodine, it's much cheaper than using the tablet form. So if you're chemically purifying a lot of water, iodine's a good option for that. Or, you know, very, very small doses of bleach and stuff, which, you know, you can get the exact measurements. I've never tried that, by the way. I wouldn't want to do it, but you can do that.
Just typically, if you are boiling water and then drinking it cold, anyone who's drunk boiled water will know it tastes quite flat, if you know what I mean. Just put a sprinkle of salt in the top of it and it sort of gives it a better taste. Yeah.
See, the thing, I was just thinking about boiling water there as well. There's a couple of other random things people say is it has to be a roll and boil for 30 seconds or 1 minute or 3 minutes, all this kind of stuff. To be honest, it's a little bit sketchy as to what the truth of this is. It depends on your altitude and it depends on the water source that you're getting it from. So generally, the rule of thumb in the survival books is a minute at roll and boil at sea level and 3 minutes sort of, you know, at a bit of altitude. But for the most part, if it's boiling after like a minute or so or a couple of minutes, it's probably fine.
It's gone. It is. It's 3 minutes to, there you go. It's 3 minutes at altitudes above 6,500 feet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not that many places in the UK you're going to probably hit that.
2,000 meters now, you can't reach that in the UK.
Yeah, there you go. So we should be okay, pretty much.
Ben Nevis is 1,400 and something, isn't it?
Yeah, and don't put salt in it. Put a tea bag in it. We're British. Come on.
No, when it's cooled.
Yeah. it might sound obvious as well, but some people might also know it doesn't work for brackish or salt water, any of these methods. When it comes to salt water, or even you have to use something like reverse osmosis or something like that, or distill to be able to remove the water from that. But if you do distill the water, what you're also removing all of the vitamins and minerals that you also require, the electrolytes that you require from water. So eventually you would have to add something to it. Otherwise, you're just getting a very horrible sort of, you know,
pure water.
Yeah, and that's actually not what your body wants. Your body wants the minerals and the salts and things like that. But I don't think that's really a problem for most of us in the UK. We're not likely to be using reverse osmosis systems in order to get our water. There's far easier ways of doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Just it's so under prepped that people need to have a plan in place. That's my main point to get across with more than anything else here. One of the part of the plans is sourcing water, right? So boreholes, wells, rivers, springs. Yeah. Brian, have you got sources in mind mapped out, and what kind of things can you tell people to look for?
So there's a Roman spring about a quarter of a mile from where I live, and it's been there since I was a little boy, and we used to walk to it and drink from it, and it's still there.
Because they were Romans around when Brian was young.
See, I just threw that in there to give you something to work with, bastard.
You hook up, Brian.
No, it's still there. Other than that, there's no way around about here I would trust as a water source that doesn't involve walking or driving a long distance. Because there's canals near me. I wouldn't touch that unless I was truly desperate. I would go to rainwater collection first. Well, as a secondary after the artesian spring. So it would be the spring first, rainwater probably as well as that, because the rainwater without filtering it I could use for all my ablutions and stuff and that sort of shit.
Yeah. Well, rainwater collection. John, let's test you. Yep. Can we just collect it in a clean container and drink it? It's rainwater.
Negative.
Why not?
Because it's probably
not snowflakes on our tongue and we don't die.
It's not. It's definitely not pure coming out of the sky, because the sky sucks up all sorts of chemicals with it. When it hits, in my example, the greenhouse roof, that's probably got moss on it and bird shit and all sorts of other things. Worms have crawled over it, wood lice, whatever you want to name, insects going all over it. And then it's going into a gutter, which is not sterile, and then it's going down a pipe, which is probably got spiders living in it and ants, and then it's going into a water butt that, although I keep it covered to stop the algae, it's still got crap in it that it's accumulated over the years. So absolutely not fit to drink.
There you go. There you go. And it was more so emphasizing that point of it. Things can be caught up in the clouds, and it can be rained down metals, all sorts. Not metal as in big steel things coming down, but you know what I mean. The water vapors can pick up all sorts, and when it falls, even if you're catching it in the cleanest container without hitting John's shit on roof or anything like that, and drinking it straight from there, there's still a risk, massive risk with that. So,
well, rain droplets themselves actually form around a particle of some sort. So you know, there has to be a grain of particle in order for that to happen. I live quite close to a refinery. It's kind of on its way out just now, but all of the crap that they put up in the air will cause some sort of cloud, which will eventually make a rain droplet. And once it's heavy enough, it'll bind and it'll fall as rain. And things like acid rain and stuff like that are usually from industrial type sites and things like that. So yeah, you've got to be cautious about rain. Somebody asked me the other day, actually, on my own channel, about catching rainwater in the tarps. You know, the army tarps. Things like that. And there's lots of people that show examples of how to pull one end down and then put their water cup underneath it and things like that. You've got to remember these tarps are treated with PU coatings. That is not good for you. You know, that it's a PU coating, and the chemical that they put on that is purposely designed to repel water, but it has a very short half-life. That's just why you have to repoof it after a certain period of time. And it's almost like the Teflon stuff you get on pans. It's not a particularly good thing, so be wary of that. I do it for cleaning things, but I wouldn't drink it unless it was an absolute emergency for some reason.
And just to make your water filter last a bit longer, you can pre-filter your water just with coffee filters.
Yeah, pre-filtering. I mean, we talked about that with shamags and stuff as well the other day.
I hate coffee, so it says not for coffee.
It's probably worth mentioning that the whole point of this is, if we talked about like a grid down situation where the pumps have stopped and all the rest of it, it's not the lack of electricity that's going to kill you. It's not the cold that's going to kill you. And it ain't starvation or next door neighbour eating you alive that's going to kill you. Most people would be shitting their brains out because of poor water sources within about a week. That's why it's really important.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, good point. I think we're pretty much okay. By the way, the moderators have been posting links on all the channels for different things, including the gravity filters, the filters you see behind Brian, the Sawyer filter that John held up, the Grail filters, everything we spoke about. They're throwing links in there. They are affiliate links to my channel, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are. So you will give me a couple of pence. If you begrudge me that, then go and find them yourself.
Just one more tip. You can get these on Amazon for about £15.98.
Yeah.
The reason it says water on it is because I've got one for petrol as well, so I just make sure I don't mix them up. But the beauty of this is that it takes 2 double D batteries to power it, but it's got little canisters for double A's.
Right. Okay.
Andy?
And that's really useful just for transferring water from a water butt into a bottle or whatever. You're not having to get on the ground and try and get under the tap and all that sort of thing. It's just really, really.
Does it have a manual option if the batteries don't work? Can you manually pump it?
No.
So if you're doing butt stuff, use electric toys then, is that what we're saying?
They look just like that.
Oh, did you use both? Did you use both your brain cells then, Brian?
I borrowed one, mate, just for that gag.
Tell you what, see a device like that, something that's particularly good for as well, is if you have no access to a means to boil your water or filter your water or chemically purify or anything like that, but what you've got is that, and you've got a stream, and you know the stream is there. what I would recommend doing, rather than just collecting that water up, is go slightly away from the stream and start digging down, and you'll eventually form a hole next to the stream. It's called a gypsy well. And then leave it for a while, and you'll notice the murky sediment will clear, and you'll start getting clear water. And it's a natural filtering system that's coming from the groundwater. And then use that device to go just break the surface slightly, and then suck it up from the middle part of that water, then let it drain back in again, and keep on doing that. It's not foolproof, but it's at least filtered through the gravel, as opposed to going directly from that stream. Which
and it does have a basic filter on it to stop any sort of debris or grass or anything getting up there.
Yeah, so as an absolute last resort, that's a good option, and you can collect a lot of water with that kind of a device like that. You can do it. You can use a straw as well, or just a cup. But if you've got something like that, even easier.
Yeah. And while we're mentioning stuff as well, I must mention the water bobs for the bath as well. If you saw my blackout video, first thing I did was fill the bath with water. Having a water bob and stuff like that is just a better way of doing that, and it's a cleaner surface than just the bath. Especially if you want to try and use that for drinking and stuff, they're about 40-50 quid. There we go. Look at that. Ask and John will provide.
It saves the old essence of pubes floating into the drinking water.
It's an acquired taste. I mean, I figure you drink Pepsi. I don't think you'd notice if you drink Pepsi already. So.
I missed that since I left the Air Force.
Has Mike sorted a 19-seater minibus for the family yet? No, feel free to donate one. It's not a problem.
19's
I'm loving every single comment I'm reading at the moment has the little link symbol on, so I'm hoping all of them are watching through Alan's, not Brian's. So
there's
just crotch punch after crotch punch, isn't it?
There's 36 people on my side, so much appreciated. Normally it's about 4, so there's 36 at the moment. So
I've only got 71 here.
I've probably got my 4 hours, so move over to Brian now, and then
no, don't move over.
Yes, thank you. All is welcome.
Anyway, it doesn't matter what channel you're watching on. We've got 227 people in total watching. I'm hoping they're all here for the water stuff and not for the.
They're not. Scary. They're not.
Right, I think have we covered water, guys? Transporting water. Somebody, Evil Girl, posted a link for. Oh, what's it called? I don't know if John's going to pull one out of his back cupboard as soon as I say the name. It's the rollers. You know what I mean? The water.
The aqua rolls.
The water rolls. The aqua rolls. Yeah, there's different ones. For transporting. What about transporting water? Yeah, that's the little collapsible ones from water source to home, Brian. If it is EMP situation, no vehicle involved, what's your thoughts on that?
You could repurpose anything and everything from you'd be all right. So like prams and stuff, you'd be good for a couple of tons to move them, mate. It'd be like a millipede of prams full of water.
I don't keep them all. When they go out of them, I've not got a warehouse of babies.
You should have.
How the supermarket workers put all the trolleys back, from the car park. You'd have all your prams.
That's it. Yeah,
even something as simple as that, though, with bigger wheels. I mean, there's a million things you can do and repurpose from golf caddies, prams, everything right up. Because don't forget the weight of the water carrier, in addition to the weight of the water, you've still got to move it. So it's got to be substantial enough to move the water and, the terrain you're going to take it over.
Every prepper should have a wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrows are fantastic. They've got a gigantic wheel that can get over most sort of terrains. You can just leave it in your garden, whether you upside down, and it'll last for ages. But see the weight of water. People don't appreciate 1 liter of water weighs 1 kilogram. That's a lot. I only take 2 liters of water with me when I go into wilderness spaces. If I'm out there for days at a time, doesn't matter. I pay a lot of attention to making sure where I'm going has sources of water, and there are techniques and methods for doing that if it's a place you've never been before. We probably won't go into that in this video, but you do have to bear in mind you can't. Unlike food, I can carry 5, 6, even 7 days worth of food on my back, and it's not that much of an effort. I can't carry 6 days worth of water. It's just I can't. It's impossible. I'm not that strong anymore. So I mean, once you go past a couple of liters, you really do have to then start thinking about where am I sourcing this water, because you're not carrying all of that. I wouldn't even recommend anybody carry more than 15 kilograms generally. Any time when they're out sort of hiking or in the wild or anything like that. So when you think 1 liter of water is a kilogram and the recommended amount for a person is 3 liters, you know, the weight really starts piling up.
Oh yeah, massively. When I've seen people putting together their 3-day get home bag and trying to put 6, 7, 8 liters of water in there, and I'm like, not a good idea.
No.
No, you have to learn. You have to learn where to source the water. You have to make a layered map from your surrounding area as to all of the primary sources and go from that.
So 2 things that not mentioned as well, because nobody wants to give bad advice on here. By the way, sorry, Rift has said, is it anyone used a water bubble? Are they reusable? Yes, most of them you can empty them back out. That's why fill them if you think, and then you can always empty out afterwards.
And I think they've got a little hand pump on them, aren't they? Like a little siphon pump.
Yeah. And you can hang them up to dry kind of in a shower or something like that as well. So the I lost my train of thought by answering that first. What was I saying?
Was it last bit? It was all shite.
Something hasn't been mentioned yet, is
yeah, something's not been mentioned.
2 things that haven't been mentioned.
Never going to get mentioned.
It's not getting mentioned.
It's a secret.
What were you saying, Brian? Alan, sorry.
I was talking about layered maps of primary water sources and identifying places to get water.
Yes,
that way.
we're talking about the people putting loads of literage in the bug out bags and stuff like that, right?
Oh.
And it's the other thing to mention on that is people have get home plans and they're like, I have 3 days. It's going to take me 3 days to get home, so I need 3 days worth of water. This is an emergency situation. This is a survival situation, right? If you had 1 liter of water and you had to use it sparingly to get home in 3 days, you could. There's also a percentage of water content in everything you eat, especially if you've got wrap packs in there, if you're using wet meals, if you're using tinned food, anything like that. Water's all around us. So please take a pinch of salt. I must drink in the apocalypse. I must drink 2 liters of water, 3 liters of water every bloody day. If you don't do that in peace times, why all of a sudden do you need to do it when the world goes to shit? I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know, see when it comes to water as well, I mean, do you remember that old advice where you had to drink 8 glasses of water a day or something to stay hydrated? I've never drunk 8 glasses of water a day in my life. I don't actually drink a lot of water. I get most of my water from tea and beer. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I go. But you don't need 8 glasses of water. And also see the notion that you die after 3 days if you don't drink water. Not true. Okay,
Not
people
true
dry
at all.
fast for 5, 6, 7 days. I wouldn't go beyond that, but you're not going to die after 3 days of not drinking water. Even if you're in a relatively hot environment and you're exerting yourself a bit, you're going to lose some water that way. But there's moisture within your fat cells, so that's going to start being consumed before that.
I'm
point
sorted.
happens.
I'll be good for about 3 months, mate. I'm the human camel.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, it's like, do you remember when you were a kid and you thought that camels, the hump of a camel was just like sloshing around with water, and that's how it survived? It's actually just
Sounds
fat,
about right.
but that is how it stores water. It stores it in the fat in that hump. I mean, that is kind of roughly how, stored water, works in the human body. But I still see it all the time. It's the rule of 3 thing. The free. 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air. All that kind of, I don't go by those static numbers because they're generally not true. They're okay as guides.
Yeah,
but they're not.
This is what it is. It's a guide to tell
It's a
little
guide.
Jimmy who hasn't got a clue about survival at all. It's a starting point, right? Because again, it's all environment. I mean, you can go for a lot longer without water, Alan, in the moisture of Scotland than somebody could living in the heart of Texas in summer. You know what I mean? So there's environment factors, there's age factors, there's fat health factors. There's so many different things.
The thing is though, some people do actually, when they're trying to plot out their bug out route, they're basing it on how long that they can go between water, which is a good thing to do. But there are people who would think, okay, I can only go 3 days without water. There's the river. And then there's absolutely nothing for the next 4 days, and I can't carry any water. I can't do it, therefore I'll die. I'll just stay put here. and that's really not true. You could just take it easy and walk, and you probably would survive after 4 days. So it's not a hard and fast rule, and to me it's almost a survival myth. I mean, it's almost on the myth sort of line there. And even things, so see people see what you're saying, like Texas and things like that. People don't generally die because it's hot weather, and what they're dehydrating. They're dying from the hot weather because of exposure. It's
not drinking is fucking Pepsi.
Yeah, it's not the dehydration that's killing them. It's the exposure to the heat that's killing them. They would die just as quickly with the equivalence of cold weather, as opposed to the moisture doesn't really make that much of a difference. But
yeah,
take the advice with a pinch of salt. Anyway, I'm not an expert. Remember, this is just my opinion on these things. But I think it's a little bit overly played, the whole idea of you die after 3 days.
Yeah, it's this whole like people basically getting AI to write your script and then doing a video about a get home bag. It doesn't work. It's every circumstance different. Don't build a massive get home bag if your get home is a 3-hour walk. You don't need it. When's the last time you needed a bag full of survival gear on a 3-hour walk?
I guarantee AI would tell you would die after 3 days without drinking water, because because it's the cumulative knowledge of the internet will be telling AI, yes, 3 days, because it's kind of like you lose most of your body heat through your head. No, you don't. That's also a survival myth.
And some YouTubers will take that and regurgitate it in their own format. Exactly. So now everyone thinks it's bloody gospel.
Yeah.
These bloody sofa survivalists. That's what it is.
Quick shout out to Modern Refugee. He's in the house as well tonight.
Who's that?
Modern Refugee.
Oh, there we go.
One of our friends from the pond.
Across the pond. He's not even across the pond. He's just in the pond.
Didn't he make it, mate? Didn't have enough airfare. He just landed and splashed straight in the middle. He's currently paddling his way here.
He's still got better internet signal than me.
So Alan, AI says general rule of thumb for human survival without water is 3 days, though this is an estimate that changes drastically based on your environment and physical fitness.
That's because AI just listened to me say that right now.
I got another use for water.
Go on then.
The halving thickness of water is 18 centimeters. There you go.
So explain this.
It will halve the effect of gamma radiation. Every 18 centimeters of water you put
between
gamma radiation and yourself, it will halve the effect. But you can't drink the water after that, but that's another use for it.
So if you've got large containers full of water and you can sort of build them up, a wall around a vulnerable area in your house, why not do that? I mean, if it's going to give you that little bit of extra protection.
And the good thing is you can move it. You can move the water in its containers, so you can build it up. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be there all the time.
They also kind of acts like a terrible sandbag from bullets. See when you see in movies where they shoot bullets through the water and the people, it goes through like a spear and shoots. That's bollocks. That's also a myth. But a bullet hitting, it goes about that much in. Doesn't matter how powerful the bullet is or the rifle is, it go in about that much. And then the bullet will completely deform. And it won't. If somebody was swimming at the bottom of a swimming pool and somebody was at the top of the swimming pool with a 50 caliber rifle, they still wouldn't be able to kill that person.
Alan, this is why you don't get all the subscribers. You've just ruined every James Bond film going.
I got another one. I got another one relating to water.
Okay.
Don't jump into water if someone throws a hand grenade at you, because the shock will kill you. The shock wave coming through the water. Water is incompressible. So when there's an explosion, the shock wave will go through the water, it'll hit your body and it'll crush your body.
I mean, I'd still jump into the water if the option was an open hand grenade.
You're better off just lying down, because the dispersal of the hand grenade, you're never going to be hit by a hand grenade, Mike. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, no. Streets are getting kind of crazy.
So even if you're a meter from the hand grenade, you're better off lying on the floor because of the dispersal pattern of the hand grenade.
Mike, you need to write this down.
Often I've got warning because it's a bit antique arms around here. You'll see them screwing the bottom off the potato masher and pulling the string before they launch it at me. Anyway, grenades aside, I think we're covered for water. So let's get on to...
Everyone's going off mute now.
There you go, Brian.
Wow.
Shaw. Off you go.
Is that like the Muppet Show?
Genuinely, I'm moving you up into the horse seat. Tell us what's going on, Brian.
We discussed the likelihood of things kicking off with Iran for the last couple of weeks. We have given opinions on, is it just posturing the carrier groups and forces from the US, etc., moving into the region? Is it to elicit a response in terms of coming to the negotiation table? Possibly it was, but ultimately we're now in a shooting war. So the Ayatollah got zapped. The chief of the army, allegedly, the chief of the army, the president, the old president, the head of the Air Force, they're gone.
Head of the IRGC.
Yep. They blew up the Navy headquarters today and most of the Navy. That's all gone. And when desperate people have got nothing to lose, then moderate people like us potentially have got everything to lose. So it could be an exciting time to be a prepper.
There you go. And this is the Telegraph, right? Iran declares jihad as anti-US riots spread across the Middle East. So, I mean, most people we've talked the war to death, right? So the potential war, because we had this last time, right? When we had the missiles going back and forth between Israel and stuff like that. It's a bit more now. Trump's got his toys out. There's some bigger bombs flying, stuff like that. He said he was done at one point, and then he was hoping the Iranian people would overthrow the government, but then it seems to have carried on. I mean...
But that's not likely to happen because they also blew up the TV transmitters. So how are they... The people that they expect to take over, where are they getting the coordination from? Where are they getting the guns from?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fallacy. The other thing is, when it happened the last time, and it was a sort of gentleman's agreement of, you blow up some of my stuff and I blow up some of yours when you move all your personnel out the way. That way everybody saves face. Unfortunately, at this time, one party of the party, if you like, they're gone. So there's nobody to tell them when to call it off. There's no kill switch on one side this time. They basically shot the guy that can turn the switch off. So that's going to be a problem if there's nobody there to tell them to stop shooting, because nobody knows who's in charge.
Yeah. John's out. He's run away.
They've got John.
They've got John.
I'm just trying to change some settings on my iPad because the power's low.
All right. Okay.
Nightmare.
Alan, what's your take on what's going on? Is it just more noise far away that we don't have to worry about?
It's definitely going to have some impact on us. I mean, the oil prices have already started to skyrocket for a start. You know, the Straits of Hormuz have been closed as well. That'll affect some shipping and things like that. I suspect that will get opened up by the US, you know, at some point pretty quickly. Will it have a direct effect on us from I mean, see all these people that believed Iran was a superpower that at any moment, you know, could just sort of start firing their hypersonic missiles and their secret nuclear weapons, all that kind of stuff. I think this kind of this conflict and the one previous has exposed them as being far more paper tiger than what they were claiming to be.
Yeah,
if they do,
they looped videos of tunnels with rockets in and stuff like that, and it's only just begun and all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's exposed a lot of that kind of stuff. I was genuinely surprised that the supreme leader was just chilling out in his palace. Do you know,
his family, with his family.
What's that? Have they not got a tunnel that he could at least be in? That, I mean,
this is why I say allegedly. We've not seen a body or anything like that. I mean, he could be having tea with Putin right now, thinking, when do I tell him I'm not dead?
All those Zionist bastards.
I, for the most part, I'm not a big fan of Trump, you know, but I support this conflict. I think the Iranians have been are weak. You know, they're weaker than they've ever been at any point in the past 50 years. Trump knows that, and so do the Israelis, and they've took an opportunity to get in there and really set them back for a huge period of time. You know, the obliteration of the nuclear things the first time round, I don't think anybody believed that was entirely obliterated, and the Iranians just immediately start building, which is what they were doing. So why not take the opportunity to get in there and do it again? The problem with conflicts like this is it just always becomes about binary politics, especially with people on the left and the right. You know, people are against it if they hate Trump. So everybody with sort of Trump derangement syndrome is instantly against this no matter what. And you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. There's a lot of very, very liberal people right now protesting the street because a school got hit and 30, 40, you know, however many children have died or whatever. But those very same people, you know, just 2 weeks ago when 32,000 people were massacred by the Iranian regime in the streets, where were these people? Why was there not a peep out of them? You know, because they don't really care. That's the point. I think it's a good thing because I think it's Iran was a destabilizing force in the world. It was an evil regime. The Ayatollah was evil. The world's a slightly safer, better place without them, but there will be a power vacuum. I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen.
Unless you read the BBC's write-up on the Ayatollah, which paints him to be some sort of moderate Santa Claus kind of figure. And if you've no idea what I'm talking about, go and watch Paz's latest video on his channel, because that is outrageous from the BBC.
Wow.
Santa Claus with an AK.
Yeah, pretty much, but painted him as like, oh, he basically said he wasn't as bad as his predecessor, and you know,
he's misunderstood.
He liked poetry. This is the BBC saying this after he's been killed, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, keep paying your license fees, guys. Can I just mention, because I've not mentioned throughout the whole thing, because it's not my place, but these are all coming through on Brian's or Alan's if he's got super stickers yet. $4.99 from Pete. Little Red Hen $9.99. This is on your channel as well. Bruce Hockley was a new member. New City Prepper sent you a $3.99 super sticker. DC has just sent you a $5. Brian, you've cashed in. You've cashed in.
Thanks, guys.
All that Hollywood, you know, sucking up to MTW and stuff like that's finally paying off for you.
Listen, hold on. Right, let's get it straight. Right, let's just sort this out now. Now, I can't help being the Fireside's eye candy, right? Okay. Now, you trot me out like a prize pony as a role model for Pepsi, right? To try and get the likes and the hits. Don't moan about it now, okay? I'm sorry.
I'm proud of you, Brian, for keeping a straight face through that whole mini monologue there.
It was a struggle, though.
It was a struggle. Terror attacks have begun in the US. I think we mentioned this before. I'm not going to go around asking questions on this, guys, because this wasn't scheduled thing here. This is just open talk. Anybody wants to talk about any of this? We've got 247 people in here watching us.
Do you know,
so we best make it interesting.
Do you know what worried me last week when we were talking about this? Is it going to happen? Could it happen? And the point I tried to make then was, when there's somebody in the loop to stop things going wrong, there's a chance to de-escalate. When you kill the people who are in a position to turn it off and stop it going wrong, that's a problem. I would suggest and imagine, if they've got any sense, they'll have decentralised their command, the Iranians, and they'll have little groups and sectors who have been given orders. And in the event of the command and control loop going, they'll have a set of things that they have to do. Whether they do it or not, that remains to be seen. But that would seem to be the smart call.
Mm-hmm.
And like a kind of dead man switch, if you like. The problem with that as well, and the worry for me personally, they don't have nukes. I suggest they would have told everybody, and they would, and I'll tell you why they've not got nukes. Because every country that's got nukes hasn't been invaded and hasn't had regime change. Everyone that either was researching them or decided to stop doing it, they're all dead. That's why North Korea hasn't been invaded, shot. That plus they've got no oil, right?
There's no benefit.
No, there's no financial benefit.
landmass for South Korea. That's it.
Unless we fancy the taking over the turnip crops of the world or something. But I would worry. That's not me that's coming through in that. I don't think that must be you, Mike.
No, that's on mine. Yeah, thank you, Lorraine.
The what if they get fissile material and start strapping it around the warheads of the plentiful missiles that they've got? They're already dropping missiles in Qatar, Bahrain, and everywhere else. Even if they blow the missile up in the air, all that shit that's strapped around the outside of it is going to fall on the populace. That is my big worry.
I don't know why, but I envision it as like sellotaped Asda bags to the side of a missile.
Do you know the thing is?
Have you seen Four Lions?
No.
Have you not? Oh, you need to see. Who's seen Four Lions? Alan, have you seen Four Lions? Nobody's seen Four Lions. I'm not even going to say it. Then it's a wasted opportunity. But
should we go to the zoo to watch them?
At one point, he's running through the field with 2 carrier bags of high explosives, and it doesn't go well for him anyway. Carry on.
Right. That was one of the ones you kind of had to be there, I'm guessing.
You need to watch the film. I kid you not. Danny Boyle, Four Lions. You need to watch it. Go and watch it. That's your homework before the next one. I have Mike. There you go. Mr. Wildebeest, a man of taste and evil girl.
But you're saying about the carrier bags, it's not that ridiculous an analogy. If they get material, they have got nuclear power stations, they've got plants, they have got centrifuges. It doesn't have to get to a level that it reaches critical mass. They don't have to get shaped charges around it and explode it in a sequence. All they have to do is make a dirty bomb and basically strap that shit all round about the warhead. Even if they blow it up in air and intercept it, all of that shit's going to fragment and scatter all over a city potentially. That's the worry for me, mate.
Yeah. Look at this. Rub it in your rapids, brother. Rub it in your rapids, bro. Rub it in your rapids, bro. This is all from that film. Everyone knows.
I'll need to watch it.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good point. Brilliant film. Watch it before it's banned. It's satire. It's great. It's funny. And there was another point. Sorry, I need to bring up here that Grumpy said. Bloody hell, John is posh. He points his little pinky up when he drinks.
It's me sticking the middle finger up to Brian.
He's just trying to point out the fact that that's the first 10 years of your career in the Air Force is elocution lessons and what silverware to use.
Genuinely, I used to teach cadets when I was instructor at Cranwell. I used to teach officer cadets how to eat a fucking meal, which fork and spoon to use, which glass to use. I'm not kidding.
I rest my case. Meanwhile, poor Mike, he's sitting pissed in a trench.
I did other stuff. So there's a drone, Iranian drone has actually landed on the US 5th Fleet in Bahrain next to the UK compound, according to the BBC.
Oh.
So that might be interesting.
Here's a question for you, John.
Yeah.
Why the hell is the MI5 threat level still the same as it has been for the last 3 years after this?
Because it's already elevated, isn't it?
It's at substantial, which is an attack is likely. It should be severe at this stage. They've called out a jihad across.
Yeah, but attack hasn't happened.
Yeah, but
an attack is likely.
But it's highly likely. And then critical is highly likely in the near future.
Yeah, but they won't have intelligence yet that that an attack is highly likely in the near future.
Fucking hell, they've got intelligence. An attack is highly likely at your local frigging hotel. Sorry.
But when was it? When's that happened in the last 24 hours? You got unfortunately you got to deal with the evidence in front of you, Mike, haven't you? The facts are there has not been a terror attack in the UK in the last what?
It's been years.
Well, no, I had that attack on the Jewish mosque. When was that?
Down the road from me. Yeah.
When was that?
That was a couple of years ago, was it? No.
The guy got killed. The bullet went through the terrorist and killed the guy protecting the door. On the other side.
That right. Okay.
Just a couple of months ago.
Yeah. So it was a couple of months ago. So on paper, in front of us at the moment, there's been no terrorist attacks in the UK for a couple of months. Let's say 6 weeks. So, and there will be MI5 will not raise it until they have intelligence that it's going to take place. Unfortunately.
Well, I think it's ridiculous that the threat level's not being raised.
It may be
Uh,
raised, but Cobra has to raise it. So I think Cobra met today, did they, or yesterday?
Yesterday, mate.
Yeah, and they'll have been presented all the intelligence by MI5 and MI6, and they've decided that the threat hasn't changed significantly enough to scare the population. Because remember, putting the threat level up has an impact.
Oh yeah, just like giving us a leaflet to tell us to prepare for war will scare the population. Just listen, just because they've not put that warning up doesn't mean it's not going to happen. They just think we're all screaming headless chickens.
The political class is very sensitive at the moment because of what's happening to Starmer. Starmer is on very dodgy ground. Everyone knows that. I'm not speaking out of turn here, even though I'm a civil servant. He's just lost a Labour seat that was for 100 years a Labour seat. He's just lost that to the Green Party and came third to Reform. He doesn't want to be doing. He doesn't want to take any action at all.
He'll be gone after May and my.
So if he can avoid putting the threat level up, he will.
Did you see the happy horseshit he came out with yesterday after the Cobra meeting? He was stood in front of the cameras and said, the Iranians need to stop shooting missiles. Hang on a minute. They've just been bombed. What the fuck? What do you expect?
What I think is interesting is his rhetoric is that he's very specifically said that the Air Force is got defensive air patrols. They're normally called combat air patrols, and he specifically said defensive air patrols. He's allowing the US to use UK bases in the UK and abroad for defensive operations, so intelligence gathering, jamming, all that sort of thing, but not active operation, not attacking operations. And the wording is very careful that he's basically saying we don't really want to take part in this. Because every other US operation that's gone on in the Middle East in the past 100 years, Britain's been stood beside them.
Do any of us actually think that Starmer was invited to take part?
Maybe not.
Probably not.
That's a good point, Alan.
I think it's more likely that the Americans lost all trust in somebody like Starmer and didn't even bother to give them the courtesy of the call to tell them it was about to happen.
Very probable.
That is a distinct possibility, yeah. But I do find it very interesting that in my lifetime, 50 odd years, that's the first time the UK hasn't been doing something to help the US in a theatre.
I think it's embarrassing. We should have been, if we did know about it, we should have been entirely part of it, in my opinion. I think a UK jet did shoot down a drone heading somewhere. I briefly read that.
Heading towards Bahrain, it was.
Is that what it was? And I know some were sort of heading in the direction of
Cyprus, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's been denied. The UK Ministry of Defence said that 2 drones were intercepted heading for Cyprus, and Cyprus have said, don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think the Iranians are just going to shoot whatever they have. It takes a while to charge these things up to sort of launch them, and the thing with Israel are very good at identifying where all these launch sites are and attacking them preemptively before that happens. So you can actually get a measure of how much of an arsenal Iran will have just based on how often the frequency of the launches will be. People are talking about this lasting for a few weeks or whatever. I think it'll be over in a few days. I can't see this going beyond next week, to be honest.
I think it will depend on who they elect as the new leader. I think the council, is it 88 of them or something, 44, 88 or something? The Shia and Cleric Council are meeting now. They're going to appoint a new Ayatollah.
He's got a son. He's got a son, I think.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah.
Who wants that job right now?
Well, see, the risk, the hope is they put someone more moderate in, but the real risk is they put someone who's even more militant in, because they're being attacked by Israel and America. So the less moderate candidate, the more warlike candidate, has probably got the upper hand at the moment.
I'd imagine the Israelis know the line of succession and are targeting all of them as well. That council of people that put the regime together, target them. I bet they're all targeted, because what they're hoping is that the country has some sort of an uprising and removes this regime entirely. If that's the hope, then they don't want some sort of who's the next. The guy was 84 years old or something. He was going to die at some point pretty soon anyway. So it's really just a symbolic thing by taking him out in the first place. They could have just waited. It's the symbolism that's done it. I mean, he was an evil guy. He was a bad guy. But even me, there's part of me that kind of thinks that's kind of unsportsmanlike almost in a war. You don't hit when they captured Napoleon, they didn't kill him. They just sent him to a fancy
No,
island.
it's historically war has been a gentleman's thing,
Yeah,
where
you
the officers don't get targeted.
Saint Helena, was it? Did they send him to Saint Helena, something like that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but you don't. It's like the Second World War. You don't target Churchill or the Queen or whoever. You target the forces, and then. But times have changed, and maybe it is just Trump's definitely an outside the box type thinking guy. So he probably does. He'd probably target you if you said something nasty about him. That's kind of the way he is. I
Your
think.
golf course is shit.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, they
Incoming.
have. U.S. immigration have turned away people with visas who've just had a bit of a pop at him on Facebook, because you have to give him access to all of your social media now to get your visa.
Yeah, I was listening to there's lots of people saying it's like illegal and stuff what he's doing. He has to go through, Congress or whatever and things like that. From what I gather from reading online, a president can do these things, and he doesn't have to inform anybody for permission for up to 2 months. It's like
that's absolutely correct, Alan. Yeah.
So it is completely legal for them to do that, and he's not declared war, because America hasn't declared war on a country since the Second World War. They don't do that anymore, because if they
special military operation.
Yeah. I mean, because if they declare war, there's all sorts of things, that processes and bureaucracy they have to
reparations.
Yeah, so now they just do it, and then as long as it's within the 2-month window, you can kind of do what you want.
It's interesting that Congress are trying to pass a law tomorrow or Tuesday. They're putting a law before the House to try and give them the legal authority to stop Trump doing the war. So they have to vote in something to allow themselves to do something to stop him.
Yeah.
Which is just absurd, really. Because that's one of the few powers, the executive powers that the president has, is he can act unilaterally on a foreign policy, as you say, Alan, without authority of either the House or the Senate. And they're trying to change that desperately.
Plus, I mean, I was watching the rest of politics earlier on with Rory. That's my bit of sort of left-wing politics that I like to consume now and again. And they were going on about the fact that Iran wasn't an imminent threat. Therefore, it was wrong for them to do it because there was no imminent danger to the United States or its allies. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, because for the past 50 years, via proxies and many other things, Iran has killed probably over 100,000 Americans in that period of time via terrorism, proxies, missile attacks into neighboring countries.
USS Cole.
All sorts of stuff. They're the main suppliers of drones that get sent to the Russians to fight the war in Ukraine. Yep. So by cutting off that supply, countless lives on the Ukrainian side have now just been saved. Plus, they've removed remember the ring of fire that the Iranians used to always go on about, because they have all of these sort of proxies all around them. Now it's just a ring of rubble, because none of that stuff is there anymore. Syria gone, the Hezbollah pretty much,
Hezbollah was their biggest military.
Yeah. Now they're nothing.
Asset,
now we don't even hear about them in the news anymore, because
Hamas have been decimated.
Yeah, Hamas gone. So it's almost a bit like, I'm a big fan of The Godfather, in The Godfather Part 2, where he's at the baptism of his godson, and in the background the mafia are wiping out all the heads of all the other mafias. He's clearing the decks so that he becomes the top man. That's kind of what Trump is doing right now in the Middle East. He's clearing the place up. And I just don't understand why anybody would have an opposition to this. I mean, I asked a simple question online earlier when I was listening to that podcast, is tell me how this is bad for America. Because you've got to remember, Trump is a America first type guy. In what way is what he's done now in any way bad for America? Because what he's done is he's took away the ability of the country literally had the slogan "Death to America." That was their slogan. And they attacked them all of the time. So by neutralizing that threat and taking away their capability to develop nuclear weapons, all America's done is make themselves a lot safer for the next 10, 15 years. And possibly even indefinitely if the regime is changed from the inside out and it's turned into a more moderate sort of country. Iran wasn't always like this. You can take a look at how it used to be back in the days where they had that royal family and the
under the Shah.
Yeah.
Under the Shah. Yeah. It was a secular, it was a very moderate, quite secular place. It could be the Dubai of the Middle East if it wanted to be. But because it's been overtaken by crazy Islamists for the past 50 years, it's a bloody hellhole. You know,
I mean, the
of their own making.
constitution, they when the Ayatollah took over, the first Ayatollah took over in the 70s, he had it written into the constitution of the country that one of its aims was to destroy the Israelite nation.
Yeah.
It's in their policy document.
Literally wipe it off the face of the map. I mean, they got what is it they say, the little state and the big state or something. So they see America and Israel as basically the same thing, and their entire purpose is to remove them from the world. Why would you want that constant threat to be there? You take them out while they are in a weak position. It's almost akin to like there's an axe murderer in your garden, right? And then people are saying, but he wasn't in your house, he wasn't at your bedside, was he? The threat was out there in the garden. So why did you do anything about it? You should have waited till he was right there in your face at your bedside before you. No, if you can see the threat and he's shouting death to you, I'm coming, I'm assembling my gun right now. You know, that's when you attack. That's when you neutralize the threat. You don't wait till he's right upon you.
Not according to the law.
Not in the UK, though.
Well, yeah. Not
You've got to swing your IKEA picked bedside lamp.
Bloody good idea.
It is. Yeah, Starmer has given permission for USA to use the UK bases. So he shared a video message on social media. This says 39 minutes ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but
Are you going to play it, Mike? Yeah.
I'm going to put it on. Yeah, I'm just making sure the sound comes on. Hopefully the sound comes on with this. So
awesome. We need some elevator music while you're doing that.
Entertain the masses, right?
Just seeing in the messages there, the big Satan and the little Satan. That's what they used to call America.
Yes.
I knew it was something like that. You know.
Oh, here we go.
Ugh. He looks like AI, doesn't he? There. Right. I was going to try and get the Starmer is a sign on there before I played it, but never mind. We'll just let me know if you can hear the audio.
Part of coordinated
Yeah.
which have already successfully intercepted Iranian strikes. But the only way to stop the threat is to destroy the missiles at source in their storage depots or the launchers used to fire the missiles. The United States has requested permission to use British bases for that specific and limited defensive purpose. We have taken the decision to accept this request to prevent Iran firing missiles across the region, killing innocent civilians.
It just looks like he's shitting himself through that entire thing, doesn't he? There's no confidence in his voice whatsoever. He just does not. He does not ooze charisma.
Why did he even have to do a press conference for that? I mean,
that was on social media. He released it.
Yeah, I mean,
which is another odd decision.
An ally like the US should be able to just use their bases anyway. Just use them.
Yes.
No, apart from the ones that guy's just went and sold, like the Chagos Islands, you know what I mean, or whatever. Well, we still have bases that aren't inside the UK, you know, because Starmer's got to sell them all.
Yeah, I think
I think he's desperately trying to play both sides. He's trying to sit on the fence, but make it look like he's supporting America. But I'm not really supporting America. I want to be involved in the war, but I don't want to be in the war. I want to go all in, but I don't want terrorist attacks in the UK. And he can't decide which it is, so he's trying to play both sides.
Yeah. Was I going to say it looks like AI? No, he looks that nervous and like he's pooping himself the whole time. That's just normal. How on earth are such low-grade people ending up as prime minister?
Exactly.
What a ship's anchor.
Mike, can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear Mike.
You can't hear me. Testing 1 2.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Mike.
I can
No
hear him.
problem.
Just you,
I'll leave and
John.
come back.
You're the lucky one.
So,
Uh,
are any of you genuinely worried then that, or should everybody be worried? Given
I'm-
that what's going on, what do you think?
I'm worried this is going to be an excuse for a lot of nutty people. Not even necessarily pre-organized. Like, we know that the MI5 have got like 50,000 people on a bloody watch list that they're monitoring in this country and stuff like that. Often when we see the attacks, it's somebody that was either low risk or not being watched at all. Then they've just got a screw loose. And all they're waiting for is an excuse. This is about to give, or this just has given, every slightly nutty, I've got no friends, I want to make an impact nutcase in the UK an excuse to go out and do that, very much that. And they've got 1 million targets to do it from, especially currently when we have right-leaning protests going on around the country in different places. What a prime target for them.
Yeah.
So I'm right in Manchester. So I'm the centre of multicultural in the UK. So yeah, I'm worried.
Is it going to change how you do anything in the near future then? Going out with the wife, the kids, shopping, cinema, even anything like that?
I won't be frequenting the Trafford Centre very much at the moment. We don't genuinely go, out cinema and things like that. Anyway, we don't have the expendable income to do so. We got a dodgy film on the box, and then it's some microwave popcorn. That's a good night in. But we do go to, like, one of the main Asda's I use, and Costco is right next to the Trafford Centre. I'd definitely be considering avoiding that at the moment. More vigilance. Nothing changes in the way I prep. I was lucky enough to get them plates a while ago, and Essex Prepper from our Discord was kind enough to send me the plate carrier and stuff like that. So everything I wanted to have in place in case of something crazy is in place at the moment, so I'm okay. But yeah, avoiding public areas, Right now, I'd hate to have Ticket as my favourite music act, and I don't want to put fear out there for people.
I don't think it's fear-mongering. I think it's
Three of my friends were at the Ariana Grande concert. Yeah, so it's very real when you speak to them. So yeah, I'd be questioning any tickets I had for major events.
There's a lot of disruption with travel as well. I mean, Dubai is, I don't know what the number of people flying into Dubai is, but it's huge. It's massive.
Half a million a week go from the Middle East to London and back.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Dubai a couple of times, not purposely, but simply because I was going to like Thailand and stuff. And you go to Dubai when you go into these sort of places. And if I was traveling, or if I had family members in these places just now, I'd be particularly concerned. I was actually quite surprised as well to see places like Dubai getting hit. That big Palm Island place, that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have believed that they would have just went, send missiles everywhere, just try and do everything in a scatter shot type fashion and see what happens.
The airport's been hit twice, Alan.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's where a lot of people, a lot of British people will just be sitting right now because they can't get connecting flights, or they're stranded there and they're literally under attack right now. I mean,
so,
it goes.
Sorry, Alan, on you go.
No, I was just going to sort of finish off the point to say, I mean, that's another reason to be of a survivalist type mindset when you're doing things like traveling. One minute you're going to Dubai for a holiday, next minute you're dodging missiles from Iran because of some action that happened.
Did we all see the drone hit that Jay the Grey put up in the Discord?
Yeah, I'm doing it. No joking, guys. We have just been hit by a drone. We have it coming. It stinks of oil in here. I didn't even finish my cup of tea. We've just been hit by a drone. We're in Water 1 on the top floor. 19th floor. We're off.
Wow.
Yeah. It didn't detonate. And there's another angle from on the Discord if people want to see it. There's another angle where you see it actually hitting, and luckily it doesn't detonate.
My daughter's partner his mum just moved to Dubai a couple of months ago, and yesterday they went to the shops and just stocked up stacks of food and water just to hunker down, because let's be honest, we really don't know where this is going to go next or how long it's going to last. But just something Alan said made me think, if they've just went bollocks to everything and they're attacking moderate states in the Gulf who actually haven't done anything to them, then that kind of shows the mentality of screw it, everybody's a target. So
wounded tiger, right? Lashing out.
Yeah.
Wounded bear. Yeah.
Well, Aman's actually sort of rebuked him, saying, hang on, we're your friends, and what all you're doing is you're feeding the narrative of the US, who say you're the biggest security risk in the Middle East, and you're making yourself the biggest security risk in the Middle East. So what are you doing?
Yeah, what's China and Russia going to reaction to this is the question I was going to ask.
That's who I'm paying attention to, particularly China, because there's a much bigger zoomed out picture going on here in the world that a lot of us don't pay a lot of attention to. Trump isn't just focused entirely on Iran. He's thinking more about China than anything else. The Russians are occupied just now and off to the side as far as he's concerned. But the Chinese are the big players in the world. Everything Trump does, I think, is against China. China gets 20% of its oil, I believe, via Iran. And it's one of their biggest import exporters.
I think it's much more than that.
Really? Well, if it's more than that, then even more so. So by doing this, this is a strategic attack on China as much as anything else. The Chinese aren't stupid. They know that. And they're going to now have to make a posturing position in order to get around this hurdle. What are they going to now do in order to offset the fact that they've now just had possibly more than 20% of their oil supply cut off to them and controlled by the US effectively? And that's what the whole thing in Central America was all about as well. Everything's a bit of a attack, a proxy attack on China at this point.
Sorry, Alan, you're absolutely spot on. It's 22%. I do apologize.
Yeah.
For me, I absolutely agree with Alan. America, major oil producer, controlled by America. Venezuela, major oil producer, controlled by America. Russia, heavily sanctioned oil. They're now cutting off another 20% of oil coming out of the Gulf, if not more, because remember, there's Iran and Kuwait and Iraq and Saudi Arabia all use the Gulf. So China he's just choking off China's oil. The problem for us is that pushes everything up, not just the price of petrol, it pushes everything up because a lot of industry is based on oil. So yeah, Alan's absolutely spot on. I think China will be looking at an opportunity to go into Taiwan. Whether or not they take that opportunity or not, I don't know. But it would take, I don't know, I reckon it'd probably take, with a resup, it'd probably take 2 weeks to get the aircraft carrier group to Taiwan to reinforce it. And then it would be all be over by then. So is China sitting there thinking, now's a good time to go?
I mean, the one thing about China taking Taiwan is the Americans have stated numerous times that would be an unacceptable red line. And anybody who believes, think what you like about Trump, but the guy doesn't bluff. He takes action. He does actually do the things that presidents before him have said they would do, but then wouldn't do. So China, at least now, will be thinking, wait a minute, we've got a somewhat unpredictable president here, and he is willing to use force to some extent. What kind of force that would be against China, I don't know, because China, unlike Iran, is actually a real superpower in the world with real nuclear weapons. So it wouldn't be a cakewalk for them. But
China and Russia have condemned it, but not mentioned any action, says Leon.
Well, they wouldn't, because they're smarter than that.
I don't think Russia's in a position to do anything. I mean, they've if you believe the reports, they've already lost 1.1 million fighting age men.
My bigger concern, and it kind of goes a little bit to my sort of slightly spider sense tingling type, something big is coming down the road, is what we're seeing is a big movement in the world, and the Americans are posturing. They're almost fighting against the fact that they are being pushed out of the way because of the rise of China, and they're doing all these things to make themselves in the best place possible in the world to resist that. The Chinese know that's happening, but we're not seeing the Chinese do anything about it. They're kind of just in the background. Are they going to now do something to make their position clear? Are they going to start pushing their weight around? The Russians aren't going to do anything. Russia's a petrol station with nukes. I've never really believed that they are the power that they say they are. The Chinese, on the other hand, and as far as I'm concerned, they're far smarter and they play the long game and they know what's going on and they have the resources to be able to do it. I think we are going to see moves from China to counteract what they will perceive to be a very genuine threat to their interests from the West, or more specifically the US. I don't think it'll be Taiwan, but I think it'll be something. Something's coming. You know, they're going to have to do something to sort of resist the now push towards them. That's just my feeling. I've got no inside knowledge as to how I would, come to that conclusion. But looking at it from a big picture point of view, if you boil it right down to the nuts and bolts of people like Trump who genuinely think there's like 10 people in the world that matter, and he's one of them, and he's the big boy playing the game. If you really do think about it that way, somebody's going to eventually have to do something about it from the Chinese point of view.
Yeah.
I think the Chinese are about as ready. Sorry, Mike.
No, Garrett, carry on.
I was going to say, I think the Chinese are about, they're not quite ready, but they're probably near enough ready that when Europe's occupied largely with the Ukraine situation, Trump's now tied up 2 full carrier groups in the Med for an ongoing situation. It's never going to be a perfect time for them, but now's as perfect as it's ever going to be. If you've got 2 out of 12 strike groups tied up, some in maintenance, some in major overhaul, and an extended theatre in the Pacific, and they've already got a lot of their civilian shipping ready to go for instant conversion. They've got a very short gap to jump across the water to Taiwan. I think they could do it. I think they could do it this year. Genuinely.
Iran was supplying Russia with drones, so it'll have a knock-on effect with the Ukraine war.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I genuinely think Putin, Russia is just about holding on Ukraine. I don't think it would take much for it to collapse. And if the drones are the difference, so be it. The Ukrainians are barely hanging in there themselves, but I think, that's a scary thought, though, John, because a man like Putin, does he let that collapse? Does he take the hit and say, well, we've lost that, or does he just go tactical nuke? I think Putin will be taken out before he's allowed to go tactical nuke. I think I think he's on dodgy ground already in his inner circle. I think they're looking at it going, well, they're lying to him for a start. They're clearly not telling him the truth about what's actually happening on the ground, because they keep telling him he's catching towns that are still 100 miles behind Ukrainian lines. Yeah. So does he know what the actual reality is? And I think his inner circle will be like vultures starting to circle around him.
They did that with Hitler though as well. They were telling him that divisions and army groups that were doing things and available for deployment that had been wiped out years prior. Yeah. The problem with Putin is they do have a nuclear arsenal, and when somebody's, well, as recent history has demonstrated in Iran alone, when somebody's got nothing to lose,
yeah,
I mean, that is a very, if he knows he's in a shaky peg, right, and he needs a result, any result. And also, remember last week, he accused France and the UK of getting ready to supply a nuclear weapon to Ukraine. He's already sown the seeds for a false flag. That's a worry as well. There's a lot of shit going on in the world right now. A lot of shit.
I mean, one thing that the Russians can do to change the trajectory of the way things are going on in the world right now is they can gift nuclear weapons to these kind of countries.
Yes.
Rather than wait for Iran to build its own nuclear program, which is incredibly difficult to do, Russia at any point could have just gave them a nuclear weapon. They didn't do that for a reason. They didn't do that because they know the Iranians are batshit crazy and would probably use it
They'd
immediately.
have used it.
They would use it, and that's why the Russians are not stupid. The Russians are incredibly intelligent. You know, that's why mutually assured, the threat of mutually assured destruction worked, because the Russians aren't insane. You know, they don't want to die. They don't want their country to be wiped off the face of the map.
Some of them.
Places like Iran, though, because they have ideological beliefs, to them, death is actually a good option. You know, in a lot of cases. And yeah, I mean, I just see that the only way that I can see countries like Russia or these Middle Eastern countries that are still allied with Russia having any force, any power whatsoever to stop the push of Trump simply going in and just one day wiping out their entire leadership. The only way they can do that is by gifting them the weapons that they so eagerly need in order to prevent attacks. That's why we're not seeing, like you said earlier, John, that we don't see North Korea being attacked because they have nuclear weapons. You know? And all these countries know this.
I mean, if you think that surely North Korea is as unstable to have nuclear weapons as Iran would be, right?
No, because they don't have the religious part. You know,
they don't have religion.
Well, they do. I mean, the Kims are the religion, right?
Well,
yeah. But in a way, that's a good thing, though, because their self-preservation is paramount to them. Whereas if you genuinely believe that you love death more than you love life, which is what these kind of fanatical regimes tell us all of the time.
IRGC specifically, IRGC are selected for their fundamental beliefs.
Yeah, I mean that's the danger. That's why it's imperative that we do everything possible to stop these countries getting anywhere close to having nuclear weapons.
Can I throw a wild card in?
Go on.
So, just off the back of what you said there, John, so the IRGC are recruiting fundamentalists. They'll put them through further indoctrination. They'll put them through military training. How many tens of thousands of young fighting age men have we fired into this country in the last 45 years? And how many of them could have went through some sort of indoctrination and military training and are floating about in the UK at the moment? That should keep people awake at night.
That's I'm in a place where it's not a potential hotel down the road that may have a couple. It's several sites. On all.
I mean, realistically, if you're thinking those kind of numbers, right, which is not, it's not an unrealistic number, like tens of thousands.
I'd say tens of thousands of veterans. You mean
potentially veterans from Iran?
I see what you mean. Sorry, I thought you meant British Forces veterans.
No.
Oh, right, I get you. IRGC veterans who are trained.
Yeah, we've got tens of thousands of indoctrinated, and I'm not saying they all are, but even if 10% were, even if 1% had been put through some form of military training, indoctrination, sleeper cells, right?
Yep.
And they've just walked straight through the UK. You can't tell me that they know who they all are and they're all being watched, because we just don't have that amount of resources to do that 24/7.
No, they've admitted, MI5 have admitted they don't know who they all are.
So, with this kicking off just now, and all these bodies coming across the UK for the last 4 or 5 years, and we've no idea who they are, where they are, or what training they've had, and the command and control link's just been severed because we've just killed all the top tier of the Iranians. We do not know what their default orders are now. It could be to go blow up all the things or do all sorts of horrible shit. And that genuinely is a worry. I mean, it genuinely is a worry for me. It'll certainly affect where I go and how I do things for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, so, I think my own opinion there, Brian, is you're talking worst case scenario.
Yes, but we're in that worst case scenario because I've just killed all the command and control loop.
Yeah, but I sort of work on reasonable worst case scenario is that of all those people who have come, a certain amount of them will have a nice job and a nice home and a nice wife and some nice kids, and they're very happy, thank you very much. And I don't really want to be a fundamentalist terrorist anymore. So there'll be a proportion of those. There'll be a proportion who have had no military training and are genuine refugees. There'll be those who are just genuine economic migrants. So, but as you say, let's just say 10% of those, so 1,000. Are they going to be attacking me in the street? Possibly, but I think they'd more likely go for infrastructure, for things like power substations and things like that.
Sure.
And
I don't think they've got,
and telecoms.
If it was organized, they'd go for substations and power stations and stuff like this. I think the biggest threat is not a set of orders passing down the chain. It's somebody who is a fundamentalist, who is already here thinking, oh, I've now got a obligation to do this jihad, so I'm just going to go out and cause as much havoc as I can. And often that is with a couple of kitchen knives in a public place.
And that's a more dangerous threat, is the untrained, unindoctrinated, lad who's young man who's gone to the
more
mosque.
Likely threat over somebody who is trained to go and take out a substation and put us in darkness for a while.
Yeah.
It's no surprise we've not had any cyber attacks now as well, since this is all kicked off.
Oh, we'll be having them, but they'll be happening right now. It's just a case of, we're combating it. Well, yeah, exactly. They've not been successful.
China, Russia, Iran, and other nation states cyber attack the UK thousands of times a day. It's just that we're countering them thousands of times a day. So, when I say we, the Cybersecurity Centre, National Cybersecurity Centre, and GCHQ are countering them thousands of times a day. I think the most likely form of hybrid attack would be from Russia or China, and it would be a cyber attack that would take out the national power systems. That's for me one of the highest threats.
There is a lot of propaganda bot farms that come out of places like Iran. I was just reading the other day about there's a lot of these agitator type groups on social media, particularly Facebook. Sort of what we would see to be sort of far left type groups, or even far right groups, or anti-government type groups. So that could be anything from the Free Palestine stuff, the animal liberation type stuff, certain political parties in the UK that are against the UK overall, so nationalist parties, the SNP, Plaid Cymru, Sinn Féin, these kind of things. There's lots of these groups on Twitter and Facebook that are actually just run from Iran. And we know that to be the case because, one, when X switched on the thing where you can actually see the country of origin, a lot of them were outside the UK, which you couldn't see that beforehand. But also it's been noted on some of the political groups that I follow that a lot of the commentary that usually comes from these mouthpieces has suddenly went quiet all of a sudden. They've just disappeared. And the last time that happened was the last time Iran was attacked. And it's happening again. So that's just a clear indication that, that's just bot farms in these countries trying to agitate governments across. They do it with like elections in the US, and they do it in France with certain things. And they do it in the UK. Any enemy against the current government of these countries is where they'll focus their attention in order to stir things up, and that's where the Russian influence and stuff comes into things as well.
That's the soft influence part as opposed to the hard influence.
Yeah, I mean, if the really clever terrorist cells aren't the ones that they don't put a sleeper cell in the UK, for example, and say if we get attacked, go and blow up a substation. Well, yeah, that'll be inconvenient for a couple of days until they fix it. But what have they really achieved? The longer game, the more smart game would be to infiltrate properly, get into politics, take power, and we see that. That's a very long-term game, but that's a game that's genuinely happening. It's absolutely the case. The Green Party that you were talking about earlier that took that seat from Labour, they actually ran on a campaign of Free Palestine. That was their main thing. And they also, in one of their adverts, they played an advert where they showed the leader, of India, because I think he's Hindu or something. And he's sort of against Muslims. And they were showing that in order to get the Muslim vote in that area. And there was a huge family voting thing going on.
It got reported, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was seen in, what was it? It was seen in something like 15 out of 19 voting sites, which family voting, I had never heard of it before, but that is the practice of the husband going into the voting booth with the wife and making sure that she votes the right thing, you know. And postal voting, that happens on every postal vote, you know, for sure. So they swung the election to favour the most ultra-liberal, you know, Free Palestine type mob that they could, you know. But I mean, this is the left and right problem. Everything's going either far to the left or far to the right. You know, ironically now Labour and the Conservatives look exactly the same, and they're the ones in the middle. But if you're ultra, you know, left, you vote Green. If you're ultra right now, you vote Reform or whoever.
And if you go left or far left or far right enough, you meet it again.
Yeah, it's the middle right again. Eden Valley Adventures UK says, if Mike ever needs a safe place, I'm in a remote place in Cumbria. I'm not sure if that sounds like I'm going to be used as a skin suit if I come and visit. Or...
That's nice, Alan. John, we've just to die then. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Mr. Chocolate there.
I'm going to look up Eden Valley Adventures now, and I'm going to send him a Storm Shadow missile.
I'm sure I was watching his videos there, or it might not be. I think I'm subbed to that YouTube channel if it's the one I'm thinking of.
He's come through from one of your channels, funny enough.
Oh, there you go.
He's come through one of your... Eden Valley Adventures, we're looking for nodes in Cumbria so we can start to bridge that gap to Scotland.
Oh, here we go. Eden Valley Adventures, got it. Yeah.
Yep.
You're getting a Storm Shadow through your bedroom window later.
I'll bring vodka.
I mean, it's a... Here we go. Is it pronounced Iran or Iran? It's Iran, I would say.
Iran.
Are you in Iran?
Running days are over.
Iran.
Iran, yeah.
Yeah, I say Iran.
Yeah.
Question then. So now that we've put the fear of God into everybody,
I was trying not to, Brian.
No, I'm not trying. I just think it's fair points to be brought up.
Wait.
Hang on. Mike's got to point out that his vape is alcohol-free.
Alcohol-free. It's 0 milligrams nicotine. I am on 0 nicotine. It's just something to do with my hands. The other thing I can do with my hands, YouTube will ban me for, so I best hold my vape.
He just likes to have something in his mouth all the time.
Eden Outdoor Ventures has got a picture of him letting illegal immigrants in through a stream. He's even given them helmets and life jackets, everything.
Oh, wow. Well, if he's got that kind of equipment, I'm going.
Just kidding. Eden Outdoor Ventures. I'm sure you're a very reputable company.
That's what invite cancelled now. Well done, John.
Yeah.
Cheers, John.
Now we're
Sorry,
eating by zombies.
Brian was trying to get a word in edgeways there.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say that it's not fear-mongering, or it's not intended to be, but the fact that they've killed all the leadership, the fact that there might well be some sort of contingency plan when nobody's giving the orders anymore. Should everybody be sending their kids to school? Should be still going to work? Is it life as normal in the UK? Or is it out of sight, out of mind, it doesn't affect us? I think that's really the question.
Everything affects us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody even mentioned there that a lot of these places can reach us with a missile, but can't reach the States. So if they are lashing out, we could be a target.
I actually see the thing about the range of some of the missiles that Iran has, and potentially they could, in theory, reach a lot of places in Western Europe, maybe even in Europe, the UK. They would have to pass through a lot of places to get here, and so it would get shot down long before it reached here. Let's face it.
Hopefully so, but the RAF, apart from the RAF, we have no ground to missile defenses. Zero. Yeah.
But there's multiple other European countries that would have to get past in order to get to us as well. I actually think the UK needs to start looking at something like an Iron Dome, and start putting some money into that, because the world is kind of changing to that kind of level of Cold War type.
Don't say Iron Dome to this bunch of idiots in charge. They will literally start building a dome out of iron over the top of us
and never finish.
And it'll never get finished. Yeah. Let's funnel the HS2 budget into a literal Iron Dome.
They'll spend all the money building a bat tunnel. Like they
how
did.
do I say this? How do I say this, Alan? Without compromising myself. You might say that, Alan. I couldn't possibly comment.
Cloak and daggers. Diesel and petrol.
Price is going to rocket.
Get some.
Price is going to rocket.
I filled the empty vehicle up the other day. That was left empty.
If only somebody had taken over by proxy another major oil producing country before all this kicked off. I mean, I'm not saying it was planned, and they produce a lot of oil, so losing Iranian oil in the Gulf's not going to be a problem. But there's an element of planning involved in that, surely.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't us. How does this affect the grid, Brian? Because fuel means power for a lot of people, a lot of countries. We rely heavily on imports for our national grid. Could this have a knock-on effect?
Not really, because it will be the gas. Well, passively, no, because it's not. We're not taking a lot of LNG for the Gulf states. We're taking a lot of LNG from America.
Okay, yeah.
So that's not going to be a major factor. If, however, somebody was getting smart and knew how things worked and decided to start plopping charges on pipelines, refineries, you wouldn't even go for a refinery because that's too big secure target. Substations, transformers, super transformers, and you only have to look at what Ukraine did with a lorry full of drones. Boom, away it went. And then consider the UK isn't here as the unsinkable aircraft carrier because of all the combat aircraft it sends across to Europe from the States. It's the force multipliers, it's the tankers. Nothing can get from point A to point B without stopping off or ferrying or ability to extend the range. We had people run through the UK with a fire extinguisher and an e-scooter last year and clogged up the turbines and potentially damaged and had forced strip downs on several aircraft. Now, it's not out of the realms of possibility that tanker fleets in Bryce Norton or anywhere else get drones dropped on them. I mean, even if somebody flew like a little Mavic into one of the turbines in a sitting aircraft, for safety alone, they would do a strip down on the engines just to make sure that the aircraft was fit for service. It wouldn't take much to have a major knock-on effect. That tanker's then incapable of ferrying combat aircraft from point A to point B. So, and that's before you think about the worrying things like them dropping shit from drones onto transformers and stuff, substations. They don't have to be there to do it. They only have to have something to fly there and do it. And I'm not putting ideas in people's heads because this is common knowledge, and I'm not trying to give any nefarious people ideas. I hope. So that would be my worry.
Nefarious people don't watch this channel.
Add AI swarm drone technology to that, and you could have a serious problem. See, after that thing happened at Bryce Norton, it's clear as day that we have to now start putting all aircraft under cover. But they could build some big bloody tents or something to start with, but they're eventually going to now have planes under cover rather than parked up on runways. You know, we gone are the days where you could just line planes up on runways, and the fact that somebody could just on a scooter ride into Bryce Norton and do that, shocking. You know what I mean?
I think if anybody was doing that in the current climate, I'd imagine I would be very surprised if the RAF regiment hadn't have some parts of the patrol and security forces with shotguns and birdshot at this moment in time. And I would also be very surprised if they didn't have standing orders to shoot down drones on site at this current moment in time. And if they haven't, I think we're missing. We've got a real problem if at this moment with the security situation, they've not got standing orders to splash any drone near the perimeter fences. Because that seems like common sense. If it's flying anywhere near the perimeter,
anybody wants to go and do a test of that with DJI, it'd be interesting. Milky says, "Do you do realize they can fire missiles into space and hit us that way? We don't have any defense against any of their ballistic missiles. They don't have the technology and targeting, I think, to make a intercontinental ballistic missile that leaves the atmosphere. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they don't have that.
I don't think they do either, but they did have a program of development where they actually had some sort of, I can't remember what they called it, but it was basically some sort of space force, some sort of space thing. It's pretty much guaranteed.
Here's the thing. We're worried about ballistic rockets, right, are talking about it. What about the fact that you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of ships on the ocean at the moment, and you've got hundreds of them going through the English Channel and close to the UK perimeter? She was sent to get petrol straight away yesterday. Now, if you get a 40-foot shipping container, it's not a major engineering exercise to have a false roof on it that you can lift up. And then
Iran has demonstrated it.
Yeah.
Iran has demonstrated it in videos.
Up comes the launcher, boom, away it goes, splat. And it doesn't even need to be that high tech. You could get large industrial drones from a ship going by. They already caught the Russians doing it last year, and they could launch swarms of drones from numerous ships going through the English Channel right now and start slapping things in the UK.
That's probably my biggest worry. Something on a grandiose or scale of, we're talking about the people on London Bridge, and we're talking about the people at the synagogue down the road from me, but we're not talking about is 9/11 and something as organized as that causes mass casualty and stuff like that, and how he's called this jihad doesn't mean we're all expecting it to happen right now. Plans could be going into place now, and we could be in a state of this kind of alertness for the next several months at least. How long, Brian? How long do you avoid shopping centres right now?
It's going to have an effect in my short to medium term planning, but I'm not going to sit and live a life in fear, because that way they've won straight away. That being said, I think it would be prudent to take reasonable precautions about your situational awareness. And by that, I mean, if you're walking in a street market, sadly in this day and age, look for one with bollards on the road. If you're going to a concert, then in the current climate, given what's happened in the past, just buy an MP3 and listen to that instead. There's a lot, and it's really bad. Where do you draw the line? Because you've got to still live your life, and chances are nothing will actually happen, but it could. And I think you should be aware of your situational awareness a bit more now for at least the next couple of weeks, months, until this comes to a conclusion in some way, shape or form. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Is it going to affect your life in any way?
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be restricting where the areas we go to that are, for me, a high risk, So
what do you think, John?
I've refused a free holiday from work.
Seriously?
Because I don't want to fly at the moment. Because it's a travel company, so they give you familiarity trips. So I've been waiting 2 years for mine. You're supposed to get it for 6 months, but they offered it me the other day, and I was just like, no, I don't want it at the moment. So
it doesn't personally affect me at the moment because I live in a small village in Wales, and everyone knows everyone else. And there's not many people I would be afraid of. I said very diplomatically. I think it's just sensible precautions to say, Brian, just a little bit of situational awareness. Don't walk around the supermarket looking at your phone. Just stick it in your back pocket when you go through the front door. Have your head up. Be looking around. Yeah. Be looking for potential threat. Not like, RoboCop, but just have a bit of awareness of what's happening beyond the 1 foot in front of your face. And as you say, just sensible precautions. Just
knowing where you live, Alan, and what's in your doorstep, as in a big petrochemical refinery. Yeah. Are you worried?
I mean, it's an obvious target. You know, you know where I work and stuff as well. That's an obvious target.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm kind of cautious anyway.
McDonald's?
Generally. Well, you know, they're targets for Neds all over this country. I mean, I think it's a good idea to have a little bit more of a heightened sense of your awareness of your surroundings when you have these heightened periods of tension. This is definitely one of them. I mean, the one thing I will say about the Iran thing, though, for example, is it's the regime in Iran that's the problem, not actually Iran. It's the people in Iran are actually very. They're quite moderate, actually. They're very educated. They're forward thinking. They're not. They want to be part of the world. There's lots of images right now of Iranian people in the UK dancing in the streets at what's going on, and that's happening all over the world because they want the regime in Iran to fall. They don't want to be in a country that's ruled, you know, by ayatollahs and clerics and all this kind of nonsense. They want to go back to the way it used to be, just be part of a normal functioning country. So I'm not so fearful of people. If somebody told me he was Iranian, if there was an Iranian guy at my work, for example, I wouldn't be afraid of him right now, because in all probability he's in Britain because he's wants to get away from that nonsense. You know, he's not infiltrating us. He's literally trying to get away from that, and he probably would welcome it. That said, you know, there are religious elements to these kind of things, and you have to be aware of your surroundings based on that, because it's not like the IRA back in the day where they would put a bomb in a bin and then phone the police and say that bomb's going to go off in 2 minutes. You're dealing with people who will strap the bomb to themselves and walk into a primary school. Yeah, it's a completely different way of thinking.
That's scary shit, though.
Yeah, we will see something happen in the world, because the world's a big place. It's full of crazy people, and there are people who dedicate their entire life to this kind of stuff. On the grand scheme of things, I think the risk is incredibly minimal, simply just based on how many people are there like that, based on how many people there are in the world. You know, the chances of that affecting you are slight, but not impossible. Look at you, Mike. You know, things happen on your doorstep.
Yeah.
You know, whereas you would never believe it would happen to you, but then it does. You know, it wasn't that long ago you had the Glasgow airport attempted suicide bombing that took place there. You know, and people have just forgotten that. It's just removed from a lot of people's memory, because they were a couple of idiots who didn't, you know how to build the bomb that they were trying to activate or whatever. But they weren't uneducated. They were doctors. They were doctors. You know, and they went and did that. They believed that, you know, it was worth dying over, literally. It's a strange thing to try and defend yourself against. It's a strange thing to try and prep for as well. You know? You expect it to be the down and outs and the people that have got nothing left to live for that do these things. But like you say, when it's a couple of doctors who you know, it's just insane. It always makes me laugh when I hear people say, "Well, some of our best doctors and engineers and all this kind of stuff." Like, well, yeah, literally, doctors do this as well, because it's not that they're uneducated. These people, it's just that they have an ideology that's entirely incomprehensible to the way that we would think. You know, and so it's hard to defend against that.
I just think it's quite funny. I went to Blackburn Uni for a year, block release, and one of the lecturers there was an Iranian rocket scientist. That turned out okay.
Excellent.
True story.
People should be looking at their EDC. People should be looking at their EDC carrier torch and first aid kit. Definitely. Yeah.
Have a good first aid kit in your car.
Yeah. First aid kit in your car. I've got a fire extinguisher in my car.
And the really, just in general anyway, just keep your eyes open for where the AED is when you go to the shop, when you go to the post office, when you go to your community hall. There's AEDs everywhere, but people just don't notice them, and just clock it and make a mental note of it. But that's for everyday occurrences, not just what we're talking about now. But
a decent bleed control kit, not just a couple of plasters as well.
Yes.
In the attack on Israel, some people survived by driving away from shooters in reverse. Practice your reverse driving and no choke points and exits. In a safe place on a car park. Please don't.
On private land.
Yeah. We don't want everyone reversing down the M6. Just
Phil's doing handbrake turns in Morrison's.
Yeah.
I think the economic angle is the most likely thing that I think we're going to feel the effects of. Whether that's to do with shipping.
My local hospital says Gala. Sorry, Alan.
Yeah,
just relevant to your previous point. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most likely thing that we should be preparing for just now, as a result directly of what's going on in Iran, is fuel increases, fuel shortages, and potentially some energy issues and supply chain issues based on shipping. Other than that, I mean, the likelihood of crazy people sort of using this as an opportunity to martyr themselves, the risk is certainly heightened, but very, very minimal, I think. I would be surprised if we would see more than 1 or 2 cases of that across Europe. You know, maybe one happens in America. You know, I don't think it's going to be a mass thing. I don't think we're going to see people all over the place sort of blowing themselves up or anything all of a sudden.
Not going to change my life at all.
Is this your new shopping outfit?
Yeah, I'm just going to Tesco's to get a pallet of Pepsi. I'll be back in 20 minutes.
You start wearing that to bed and stuff, you know.
I feel like
Don't give her ideas, mate.
coming up.
I can just imagine the missus tonight. Where the Kevlar, baby?
Gravy seals strike again. GB News has just reported RAF base in Cyprus has been attacked.
Whoa.
Akrotiri, been there.
What's the hotel like?
Excellent, yeah. Really nice stay.
Cocktails.
Yeah, pina coladas, yeah. Oh, brandy sours, actually. It's brandy sours in Cyprus. No, just so someone on the chat's just talking about the AEDs. Yeah, for those who don't know, if you do have to use a public AED, there's a code on it. You dial 999, tell them you need an ambulance, tell them you stood in front of an AED. You give them over like a 6-digit code, and they will give you the code to access the AED. Right? You can't just go and open the like you could a life ring at the beach. You've got to ring 999 to get the code to open the box to get the AED.
Is that? Oh yeah, they're in all the phone boxes and stuff now as well in the country.
Yeah, and also don't be afraid of getting the AED. Even if you haven't had first aid training, when you actually get the AED out of the
they're idiot proof.
It talks you through it. It tells you exactly what you got to do.
Have you seen them chest compression machines now as well?
They look
They look brutal, don't they? Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. It's like
it down on you, John.
And it's going as they're wheeling somebody past.
Not seen that.
It looks really bad.
Never need one. Hopefully, you never need one.
Yeah, but yeah, it's cool. Nobody's gonna run out of. No one's gonna get tired and think, "Oh, it's fine. We'll just call him dead." It just keeps going. So I guess, yeah. It's actually a page that's not blocked for a change on there. Let me show quickly. This is why we can't monetize, but never mind. Strikes narrowly missed British troops in Bahrain and missiles fired at Cyprus as Iran hits back. So, were launched in the direction of Cyprus.
So the UK Defence Secretary said the one in Bahrain landed a few hundred meters from UK personnel. The Cyprus one, it was MOD said there were missiles fired towards Cyprus, and then Cyprus, the Cypriot government said no, they weren't, and then the MOD came back and went, oh no, they weren't. So I don't know whether this is a fresh attack.
Well, I'm on the homepage, and that's the only thing on the homepage for GB News that I can see. So, meh. Okay. To be confirmed. Unconfirmed. We have to do the breaking news.
Breaking news, possibly.
Breaking news.
I don't think the media have got a good idea of what's going on just now, to be honest. Like, the fog of the conflict at the moment is a bit all over the place. You know, the media, mainstream media nowadays don't have like reporters all over the world like they once had. You know, endlessly feeding back what's going on. They rely now entirely on just people on bloody Twitter pointing their camera at something and saying, "This is what I see," because places like Iran are kind of closed down at the moment. We're not really getting a good picture of what's going on. It'll take a few days before we start seeing the actual effects of what's going on in terms of where's been hit, what the volume of missiles are, the level of damage, who's actually been taken out, all that kind of stuff. That'll take days, I think. We'll get trickles of it every day, but it'll be a while before we start seeing what's really happening.
So Jay the Grey's on the case. He's our awesome reporter, part of the Discord. He's got different things on there. Reports indicate the RAF Akrotiri, on Cyprus has been struck by an Iranian drone. Another one says initial reports suspect UAV impact at the British RAF airbase in Cyprus, and there's a little someone's put up a map of one of the typhoons that's airborne around there, and the security threat declared at UK Cyprus. A security threat was declared at the British base in Cyprus shortly before midnight on Sunday. Anyone know the time difference between us and Cyprus?
It'd be midnight there, gone midnight by now. It's I think it's a 3 or 4 hour time difference.
So it's fairly recent intel then.
Yeah.
What I find
return to your home, stay inside until further notice. Basically.
What I find surprising about that is that drone would have had to fly over Israel to get there. So it's got through all of the Israeli air defenses, got through the USS Gerald Ford air defenses, because that's sat off Cyprus at the moment.
Israeli air defenses are centered around Israeli population centers.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only speculating here because we don't even know if it has hit yet. But it's
launched from a boat.
Launched locally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was just about to say. Has it been launched locally?
Interesting.
Because I think we've moved on from times where it's state-on-state firepower, static lines, armored formations. We're now in the realms of guy with a drone causing havoc, and that's the world we live in, and we need to get with that program now.
Yeah. Come to the Scottish Preppers meet, and you'll see Brian cause havoc with the drone.
I had hippies try to shoot mines down at the last meet.
I know. This time it's going to come with its own little dropper.
They're 40 quid to add to the Mavic 4 Pro.
Your own little paintball dropper, paint bag.
You can buy the kit for the Mavic 4s. It's like 45 quid.
There you go. I'll happily take a turd in a kitchen roll and you mount it on and you can drop it on the
No, that's illegal.
I'm not
that's
mounting you or anything near you.
That's biological warfare, Mike. That's illegal.
I have mentioned it because I do want to mention it because we've got 215 people in here. There is still tickets left for the Scottish Prepper meet. If I go to this, will everyone disappear? No, there we go.
I'm working on it.
Scottish Prepper meet. It's the 28th to 31st of August 2026. Bush Reviews campsites near Langholm, Scotland. Buy, sell demos, etc. It's £35 per pitch. Go on to ukpn.org, go to the shop via there, and it's on the homepage of the shop to buy tickets if you would like to come along to it. Yeah. So, and if nobody minds, anyone mind my little 40-second charity advert while we've got 200 people here?
Do it, mate.
Hi, guys. Just wanted to take a moment to say this year for the charity, the Bradley Lowry Foundation, I'm going to be walking the West Highland Way in reverse with full kit wild camping along the way. It's a survival challenge and it's definitely a fitness and endurance challenge. We're raising as much money as we can for this absolutely awesome cause. You can donate by giving through Just Giving or through PayPal. Make sure if you do use the PayPal option that you mark it for charity. With your help, we can make a massive difference to some families' lives. So please give whatever you can and help this awesome cause. There we go. Thank you for indulging me for that for a second, gentlemen.
See, when you
John's-
say when you do it the West Highland way in reverse, I had images of you literally walking in reverse all the way. That'll take a bloody long time.
full suit with a briefcase, like Tom Green. If anyone remembers that one, the backwards man. I can walk backwards as fast as you can. And no, Brian, no, Alan, I'm not doing that challenge. But we are nearly hit the wax numbers, so I will be getting waxed before this if the numbers keep going up. We've got if Brian short circuits all his power banks, the EMP will take out 100 square kilometers. Excellent. I have 4 20-litre jerry cans and 2 work vans. Would you go to measures of filling them up ASAP?
Well,
Yes.
maybe in the morning.
Aye.
Yeah, I did mine. I did mine.
I've done mine.
What you do is entirely up to you. We don't want you to go out spending money you haven't got, maxing out a credit card, doing
Absolutely. If
something
you can
silly.
afford it.
As long as it's within your ability to do so, I would definitely. So
Even a 5 litre, the little 5 litre can, it's better than nothing, because at least you'll have some flex if you need to make a journey in emergency.
yeah. How much have you raised so far, Mike? We're on
£8.57.
I can. Well, we've done. What did we do? We did like 1,000 the first year, like over 2,000 the second year. We're at 334 on Just Giving, which is the best way to do it. And there's about 100 through PayPal. So we're on about 430.
And the link's on Discord.
The links are on Discord. The links are in every one of my videos. The links are in the chat. And Miss Worm's posting the charity page there. There's also my PayPal. If you do it through PayPal, it's for the charity, not for just my pints at the start and the end of it. Make sure you mark it for charity because it's going into a separate pot because people donate through PayPal for all sorts. So there you go. But Just Giving is the best way. It is the best way. Cool. Right. Just checking we've got any. The UK service stations never miss an opportunity to hike up pump prices straight away. I'm glad I filled up to the brim the other day. Have they started hiking them up already?
Wouldn't be surprised.
It's only like a pence or 2 at the moment, but profiteer never miss an opportunity to screw over Joe Public.
Yeah, definitely not.
Absolutely.
How long do you keep fuel stored before rotating it?
I keep mine for 6 months, but I keep a little Fablon piece of A4 and I write the date every time I fill it up because I forget otherwise because I've got about 8 jerry cans.
Yeah. Brian, do you cycle through yours or do you use it regular?
I test run the generator at least every month to 3 months, something along that region. But the fuel stores that we've got, I don't have a petrol car anymore. It's a shitty battery thing. So we rotate it in through the wife's car. Once it gets to a certain level, we'll do a jerry can at a time, at least one a month generally, and we'll fire it into her car. And that way, you're storing the freshest amount of petrol possible and still running the vehicles. So, yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Do you winterize the bike, Alan? Do you keep that full up as well? Just in case?
Yeah. So every year, I've got a motorcycle and it's in a shed, and the best way to keep that winterized is to fill the tank completely to the top, and put some fuel stabilizer in there if need be as well, because that's the easiest way of preventing moisture getting into the tank and causing rust problems and things like that. But I've also got a couple of very small bike jerry cans that fit on the front of my bike. Usually I've got them full of fuel as well. They're actually empty just now, but just because of what's going on, I'll probably fill them up. And I go by the usual principle of never letting the car get below half. You may as well.
Absolutely.
Especially, if you're using it to commute anyway, and the fuel price is going to go up, you literally are just saving money by spending it just now. It's a consumable. You're going to use it. So
you are going to use it.
Other than that, I don't have like fuel storage or anything like that. And what is the legal amount you're allowed to?
30 litres. I should have said that earlier. That's all I've got. That's all I ever have, 30 litres.
Of course it is, yeah.
You can
Yeah, I'm
apply.
the same.
You can apply for special permission from like, and you've got a fire safety checks and stuff to have more. Places like taxi ranks often have their own like little Bowser and stuff like that. So, yeah, you can apply for more than 30 liters. When will the next batch of Red 64s done? They're done. They're here. They're getting shipped on Monday. So you're part of that. But I've had 2 broken ones in this batch, so I'm speaking to the suppliers at the moment of the blanks. Cool. I think we'll have to call it soon. Brian's not been for a toilet break for 2 hours. He's old.
Sorry, I've only drank 3-ish cans so far in here.
I'm thinking of putting my jerry can in my garden shed. We'll add stabilizer in. Is that the best way? I'm new to fuel storage.
Rotation before stabilizer.
I was
Yeah,
going to
you
say,
don't
yeah,
need-
you can use stabilizer, but you're best just to top the old stuff up in your car. As a guide, I use mine every 5 to 6 months, and then refill it, and you've always got fresh. Apart from the fact you're just buying stabilizer, which you don't really need to use.
Yeah. I don't think
It's not
I even
cheap.
really need. I don't really need the fuel stabilizer. I think even in my bike, because I'm using the premium type petrol anyway. So there's not a lot of
It runs better, doesn't it?
Does the higher octane make a difference on storage?
Yeah, I think it does. I think I'm not totally clued in on fuel storage, but I do remember hearing that it's not entirely necessary if you use the premium petrol.
Depending what you're storing the fuel for, I was going to say, if it's for a generator, consider getting a dual fuel generator. If you've got a dual fuel generator, store the propane, because it's never going to go out of date.
No, much longer storage life, isn't it?
Mm.
And you can store way more propane than you can fuel. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I thought that was it. Hopefully that's helped anyway. Malpence, do you have encrypted email addresses that can be used to contact you securely? No, I have a Gmail address that you can contact me insecurely. It's ukurbanprepper@gmail.com if you would like to contact me. If you would like to secret squirrel contact me, you'll have to buy tickets for the Prepper Meet, I'm afraid. There's no other way. Or send a pigeon care of the Pentagon. Is the other option. Paranoia is a thing with preps. Question: Paranoia is a thing with preps. To word that as a question, maybe, is paranoia a thing with preppers? Yes, to a degree. A healthy amount of paranoia gives us direction and focus for our preps. For some people, some people take that too far. But is it a thing with preppers, Brian?
No, sorry, go on, Brian.
Oh, God.
No, you're all good. On you go, John.
Well, paranoia is perceiving a threat that isn't there. So I think threats are there. The reason I prep is because it actually makes me feel better about things. I don't have to worry about things that people who aren't prepared would have to worry about. So I see it as, it's not soothing, but it's reassuring in my mind to know that I have a certain amount of certain things. 30 litres of fuel, I just want to reiterate that. I got it wrong earlier. But I have food available, I have water available, I have toilet roll available, I have first aid kits available, etc., etc., etc. That gives me reassurance that the risks I think I'm susceptible to can be mitigated.
Cool. There you go. Anyone anything to add on that one? Paranoid preppers?
I think it's easy to see things that aren't there. I think prepping, for me, from a personal perspective, is try to mitigate things that have happened before. It shouldn't happen again. So I know we've had power cuts. I know we've had bad weather. I know we've had supply chain disruptions. I know we've had wars in Europe. I also know we've had pandemics that came out of the blue and shut down society. So I know this has happened before, and it could happen again, and everything in between. But the good thing is, most of the preps for any one of them are the same preps for every one of them.
Yeah.
Prepping is generally 99% generic for most threats. There's very few specific threats for, like, preps for specific threats. Most of it's generic. So if you do prepping at all, it generally covers all of the bases for the most part. So it's not paranoia.
I think if you're a generalist prepper, which I think most people are actually, you know, then it's just smart. I mean, it's just a case of having a little bit more of things that you require to get you through a period of time and hedging your sort of preps based on the most likely scenario as opposed to one specific thing. The paranoid type people are usually hyper focused on a thing. You know, you'll get some people who they're absolutely convinced that an EMP is going to happen and that's the only thing they prep for. I don't see any logic in that whatsoever. To me, that would just be a waste of time and money, you know, because chances are the thing that actually happens isn't that thing. You've just spent all your time and energy invested in that one thing. It makes no sense for me to prepare for hurricanes, you know, or earthquakes. But if I lived in a place where that was common, I would put most of my money into that kind of thing. You know, you would be clever about your generalization, but for the most part,
absolutely spot on, Alan. And we've said this before on the channel. Each prepper has their individual risks that they need to assess, and they need to work out what the highest risk is and what's the minimal risk. And someone who lives near a river, that you've probably got to, prep for flooding. Your house being flooded. Whereas if you live on the top of the mountain, you've got to be prepared for 90-mile-an-hour winds. It's different, literally, depending on where you live and what is your risk assessment of what may happen.
Yeah,
live in Scotland, prep for heat waves. You know, it's common sense.
I mean, it goes along with the skill thing as well. So if you're going to spend time invested in skills, which is where I think everybody should start before they go acquiring things, the skills that you learn should be focused on the most likely scenario as well. You know, there's no point in you spending a lot of time learning about avalanches if you don't live anywhere near where that could possibly happen. You know, pay attention to the things in your surrounding area and work from the skill point of view.
Spot
on. I'm going to stop tuning in. I just get completely ignored. Well, I'm sorry. Capitals, letters, question marks, stuff like that. I try and pull out what I can. It's not a Q&A session tonight. It was actually a topic, so I apologize if you feel ignored. We do try and get people as involved.
How ironic would it be if that guy had just put 30 messages in and that's the one that gets put on the screen? I never read the messages, by the way, so it's like I missed them all. So anybody on my message, I tend to miss them.
Just for perspective, we have 250 people in here tonight across all three channels. I have all of the comments off all three channels pinging away to my right. And while maintaining a conversation and keeping a stream going, I have to try and highlight them. So I apologize if you feel ignored. You have the super chat option if you're really offended.
It's really difficult.
Yeah. What is this is going to be the last one because it wasn't supposed to be a Q&A tonight. Numbers are starting. People are starting to go to bed, and I'm sure the guys on the panel want to now. We've hit 11 o'clock. So this is the very last one. Tell the boy was one of my very early subscribers on the channel. Absolutely awesome guy. What is the most overlooked prep where you thought, hold on, I forgot about that? Who's had any of them moments? Brian's gonna be like, I didn't forget anything. I'm perfect.
I'm not perfect, but the problem is I probably don't know that. That's the worry. I probably don't know because I've overlooked it.
Yeah, you've not hit it yet.
Yeah, that is the worry.
This is why I have so many disasters, because it's how I learn, right?
I think the question itself, you can't really answer it, because if you've overlooked the prep, then you don't know what you've overlooked yet by definition. So
he's saying what's the most overlooked prep, though? Something that you've had that moment with that might trigger that thought in somebody else.
I don't know, mate. I'm perfect.
Okay.
So I'll help you out here, Mike. I'll help you out, seeing as Brian's being strong.
Go on.
Well,
Brian's faultless.
Mike's excellent spreadsheet helped me. Is Mike frozen? There you go. Mike's excellent spreadsheet helped me realize that I'd overlooked that I didn't have enough food as much food as I thought I had, because I was basing it on meals per day rather than calories. And when I put all my stuff into my spreadsheet and I found out how many calories I had, I was about 2 months short of what I thought I had.
Yeah, easily done.
So,
Easily done. What some companies class as a meal in a can or in a packet is often not enough to sustain you. And I've done my spreadsheet based on a lower amount of calories than what I'd have during peacetime as well. So it's anybody wants that, by the way, that's a completely open source thing. Go and find the video on the channel about me organizing the pantry, and the link is in that. You just go to, it's a Google Sheets, and you just make yourself a copy of it. So there you go. Alan, anything overlooked where you thought, hold on, I forgot about that? That's a good idea.
A lot of my stuff is actually quite tightly compact into. I don't take a lot of stuff with me. I've got, like, unless I'm with a group of people. When I'm by myself going somewhere, I'm a very minimalist type person anyway. But having some sort of check sheet is a good prep to have, just to make sure that you've got everything you need to have. I mean, there has been times where I've literally went all the way, 3-4 hours in the car to the middle of the Highlands somewhere, got into a pitch black woodland and realised I have no head torch. And I'm like, well, I can't see where the hell I'm going. Or had no tent pegs. I've got the tarp, no tent pegs. Sure, I can make some, but I should have just brung them in the first place. And that was just because, I didn't do
But
due
that's
diligence
something
of
you
checking
forgot.
stuff off.
Not something
Yeah,
you've
it's I
overlooked.
forgot.
Aye.
I mean, I imagine something people mostly overlook in my sort of world, sort of the wilderness side of it, is they underestimate how wet you're likely to be at certain times of the year, and they underprepare for that. Having water resistant jacket and some water resistant shoes isn't going to cut it in Scotland in October.
We noticed in December.
And you realise, I mean, see, even just for example, when we were on that island and it was raining for a time, look how wet it got even inside the communal tent that we were in. Yeah. How much moisture was in there, how much saturation there was, how saturated all
we were
of our
all
equipment
steaming.
It was just a continuous moisture thing going on there. Now imagine you were one of those people that because you listen to a lot of YouTube, you think, oh, it's winter time, what I need is a big down sleeping bag and a big down set of overalls, right? All that stuff would have got saturated and ruined, and it wouldn't have worked, because we live in a wet, cold country, and those are the kind of things that people overlook. So I can't think of any one item, but I think clothing is something people don't pay a lot of attention to.
Yeah, no, clothing. I'd definitely go for clothing. Do you know what? On topic, it's got to be water for me. The answer to this, Telder Boy. Not so much myself, but the most overlooked prep where I've thought, hold on, is when you sit back, like John did with the food. When you sit back and look at the water, work out how many days that will cover. And suddenly, if you really do the math on it, even rationing, it's like, oh, I really am understocked on water. That's what spurred me to get the water butts and stuff like that. Because the reason for doing this fireside initially was on water, because I think it is the most overlooked thing ever. People go out and buy 30 days worth of tin food, and they've got a case of water from Costco, and they think they're covered without doing the math. Or if you've got freeze-dried stuff like the Augustin Farm stuff I've got here, the amount of water you need to rehydrate that and stuff like that, all of that has to come into the equation. So water itself, and the reason for doing this initial stream, is probably the most overlooked thing.
Yeah, and you've got to multiply everything by 15 as well, Mike, haven't you, for your kids?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the ones that manage to find out where I live now,
the ones that know your name.
I would chuck in there as well, actually, a dental first aid kit. A lot of people overlook dental first aid. Having toothache in any situation where you can't get
Mike's balls
remedied is horrendous.
Buy Mike's balls. I've not got a link. I've not got an affiliate link. Just go on to Amazon and look for what's it called? It's moldable false teeth.
they're actually on my list on Amazon from the last time that you mentioned them.
Go get them. Oh,
I mean, having something like that.
I've got some in. I've got
clove
some in
oil
now for a cracked tooth.
Clove oil, some
Clove oil, yeah.
things like that. Something that if you've got an ulcer or a tooth problem, and there's no dentist available for the next month, because
antibiotics.
What is it? Toothache and earache are the two things that are just absolutely unbearable, and you can't easily self-treat yourself for those things unless you have a few small things like antibiotics.
You can get 2% lidocaine gel, which is lidocaine's the anesthetic the dentist uses, and you can get a gel which you can just a bit like clove oil, but
that's the Oragel, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Oragel, and they do an extra strength one as well.
Yeah.
They're all right. Yeah, but honestly, I've tried the moldable little pot things for fillings. I've tried Oragel, stuff like that. Them plastic beads, absolutely perfect. They're the best thing. But yeah, good shout on the dental side of things there, Alan. We're going to leave it there now, guys. I think you've got lots of people who are commenting there. I apologize if anyone feels ignored or anything like that. It is what it is when I've got 3.5 million comments in here. 200 people watching, and we're 2 hours, 40 minutes in. That's insane. We almost don't want to end, but several of us are granddads, and we're going to wet ourselves if we stay here any longer. And frankly, it's going to be dehumanizing for everyone. So
next year, Mike, 24-hour marathon session for charity.
20. Would anybody actually be interested in a 24-hour fireside for charity?
No. No.
It would just turn into one of the...
You don't get a say. This is for the audience question.
It's one of those. It would turn into a filibuster. It would be a filibuster like they do in those parts where you would run out of things to say and you're just starting to look around like, yeah, it's nice in here, you know. It's...
We'll come and give you 30-minute breaks, Mike.
I'd do the whole thing as part of the charity thing, and you guys could just come in on guests. I'll have games ready. I'll have cue cards ready. I'll have topics ready. I'll plan the whole thing.
And then when you need your meal breaks and new breaks, we'll just sort of sing songs and stuff.
Yes, please. Yes. Only 24 hours. Yes, 24 cans of Pepsi later.
You're welcome, Mike. You're welcome.
No, that's good. Go on then. Just keep my
right. Have a bladder
okay
off.
Fine, right, maybe we should do okay, I'll think about it. I'll plan it. It might not be next year, it might be sooner. We'll see what we can do. We'll figure it out. But yeah, thanks for joining me, Brian. 200 people still in here. At least 10 of them might be watching on my channel instead of yours and Alan's. So do you want to tell them about your channel in case they don't know?
I tend to do things
Hollywood
that are
Brian.
like...
Sorry, carry on.
Oh dear, my finger's doing that thing again. Sorry. I tend to do things that interest me first and foremost and relate to what I think is the most likely problem, which would be a power grid failure, short, medium to long-term duration, generic prepping and product reviews. That tends to be what I like to concentrate on. If it interests me, I do it. If it doesn't, I really can't be arsed. Be blunt.
There you go. Go and check out Scottish Prepper 73 if you haven't already. He's also got a great interview with Mike Tango Whiskey on there and stuff like that. So loads of content to explore on his channel over there. And Alan, World Survivalist, loving your recent videos, walking, talking, spilling, in some great places. Tell us all about your channel. What's coming up?
That's a bit of a new addition that I've chucked in there just to see how that goes. Most of the videos that I post on my channel are outdoor based, camping type videos, kit reviews, long-term reviews of kit that I've used over the years, things like that. And like Mike was saying, recently I started throwing in what I call sort of what would they even title it? Survival Unscripted, where it's the talking head sort of opinion piece. I try and keep that relevant to outdoor topics and survival-based topics, and just survivability generally. So if that takes off, then I'll do more of that kind of stuff as well.
I think
but yeah,
what would
it's
be
mostly
really
outdoor
popular,
type stuff.
What would be really popular is a drunk one about the French in that same sort of style.
Funnily enough, right, I'm actually planning a trip to France a wilderness survival trip to France because it's a beautiful country. It's just the people I can't stand. But yeah, it'll be bandit country when I'm there. I'll have to hide and things. Somebody
That's
might
going to work out
recognise me
well
in
in immigration after that statement.
Is this
We need the rubber gloves for this one.
Big shout out to Paul M from Scotland. I didn't want to put your full name in case you didn't want to do for a £20 donation on PayPal as well towards the cause, which is really awesome. Thank you for that. John Welsh Prepper does not have a channel, but he is on Discord and he is a regular guest for the Fireside. He's becoming a regular addition for the Fireside. So if you want to pick John's brains, come over to the Discord and get involved on there. And eventually we'll get him to start his YouTube channel.
Well, I specialize in not doing product reviews, not doing prepping advice, not making videos. And I'm looking forward to seeing Alan's Lamborghini now that he's got 4,000 hours under his belt.
That's it. Yeah. You're now one of the rich YouTubers, Alan. You get started with
how it works.
Give up the day job.
That's it.
Sorry, don't give up the day job.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It's only taken 14 years, but I'm finally getting there.
Get in. Slam dunk. Back of the net.
If we combined all 3 monetized YouTube channels, we might be able to afford to eat for a week with a year's income. That's
one final thing, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, we all get an extra bank holiday this year that you don't get. So there.
What's that?
We're going to watch Scotland win in the World Cup. You're not. Don't let. Hey, watch out.
Oh, Scotland's already won. They've qualified. That's the best they're going to do.
I'll take that. That's fine. That's good enough for me. I don't give a shit at this point.
They earned the entire population a day off, so that's great.
Oh, wow.
But you know the thing is, Mike, see when it's all said and done, we'll remain true to form, and whoever England's playing, we'll be cheering for the other fucking team.
I wouldn't expect anything less. Thank you for everyone joining us this evening. Thank you to our awesome moderators. There is so many of you over the channels. I can't even list all your names. I'm going to have to put a list of names together, but I've seen Mel in there. Mrs. Bryan's in there, I think, as well, moderating somewhere. And of course, our chief mod, Miss Worm, who is a published author with her book and her YouTube channel. So go and check her out and show her some love because she gives up all her time for us as well. So she's awesome. You're all awesome. This has been Chaos. See you later.